All right, everybody, welcome to the Killer Man podcast series. Today's episode, we are doing Spirit, a very, what's the word I'd use? Contentious killer in the game, and always has been. If we have our guest here, if they would like to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Davood, Carol, Fee, whatever. I have been playing Spirit for like 2,000 hours, I think. I know she's a very conscious killer. I'm very sorry about that. Whatever word you used, I don't know what you're trying to say. But I love her to bits. I know basically everything about her. So yeah.
All right, and where can people typically find you? I'll have all that linked below if anyone wants to check you out.
Obviously, my stream is tagged. I'm most active on Twitter, which is Davood is a twat. You've probably seen my tweets. I love talking. It's Carol Breast Milk Fordman. Yeah, I'm always on Twitter. I think it's very, very fun. But that's kind of the only really two socials I use. I don't really accept anything else.
Fair enough. Yeah, I see you on Twitter all the time.
yeah, I liked it. I think it's really funny. Just arguing with random people is great.
Yeah, sometimes it's fun. I mean, I get a headache sometimes from it, but you know, it has its moments.
No, I wish I had the self-control to not, because sometimes people are so stupid, it like actually pisses me off. But I'm way too. I love instigating, so I think it's so fucking funny.
So first question that I usually ask everybody is, how long have you been playing Dead by Daylight?
I played. I remember the patch notes for Pyramid Head PTB going live. So as soon as he went, like, because I was on Nintendo Switch. Because I played like a little bit before then, because I had a partner who had it, and he started playing on the Spirit release, and he said, you might really like this character. And I was like, oh my god, she's really cool. I was terrible, don't get me wrong. Like, he was playing on his Xbox with like absolutely no sound, like coming through any like headphones or whatever. I was awful. And then some other boy that I fancied like a year later was like, oh, we're playing Dead by Daylight. I'm going to like not play Overwatch with you anymore. And I was like, oh, I need to play Dead by Daylight as well then. So I got it. And it was about that time, yeah, because I had like moved out as well. This was like COVID. When I'd moved out when I was like 18, 19. So I was like a lot of the time in my house completely alone. I was like, I need to find something to do. So for 16 hours a day, I would play Dead by Daylight. So yeah, I've been playing for quite, not like, I'm not massively old gen. I kind of like understand what was going on. But like I've been playing for like 3-4 years, I think now. I don't know how old I am. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, it would be about 4 years if it was Pyramid Head.
So yeah, so a while. I've been here for about like half Dead by Daylight's life cycle.
Yeah, you started a year before I did. So the big question that everyone wants to know with people who main characters, why Spirit in particular? Any
so
particular?
There's a few reasons. The first reason, very initially, was that I fucking hated going against her. I think everyone did, to be fair. You were like kind of a weirdo if you like enjoyed going against her. And one of the biggest things that everyone always tells you is if you hate this character, you should start playing this character. You understand the limitations. And I eventually discovered that she had no limitations. It's just that most spirits are terrible. And I was like, oh my god, I really like this. And I'm like autistic. And one of my like big autism things is I just love sounds and sound-based things. And I eventually realized that I could use that to my advantage. I ended up getting very good at tracking. And yeah, I kind of got like a bit of a name for myself just for playing Spirit. I really, really like her. I love sound when it works. I'm taking a break in a minute because it literally doesn't work at the minute. But when it does work, there's no other character that like really, really, really like tickles my tism like Spirit does. I think it's very fun. It's very nice to have that. Yeah,
she's a very she especially now she's a little bit better. I know there's the sound bugs going on. It's not just her, by the way. It's a lot of killers. I play I'm sure you know, but I main Chucky, and I tell people all the time sound is sound is a huge factor in playing him, because you know you're trying to hide your red stain a lot around corners and such, and the occlusion has been very, very weird the past few weeks.
It's been awful. I have no idea what's going on. The only thing I could like, my guess is that there's a ring around you, and when they enter that ring, I think the like footsteps are being played in two parts, and it's like the slap that your actual shoe makes and the hit sound that it makes when it hits the floor. And I think only the floor sound is being made. That's my guess, but I haven't playing enough because it pisses me off too much.
Yeah.
But like you'll just hear like just the sound of wood creaking when they run over like Dead Dog Shack, and it's like awful. It's like I don't know. I'm very bored of this like continuous trend of every other patch there'll just be this awful sound bug that makes it completely unplayable, and it's very tiring.
I can understand, and I mean also scratch marks are bugged right now too. It probably doesn't help.
They're awful. I might as well main Mother-Daughter Ring. I like literally dropped the add-on, and I'm like, cool. You know, I'll just play it until scratch marks fix. Thank you.
So speaking of Spirit got, it wasn't a rework, but she got a massive change. I think it was 2 years ago now.
I think it's about 2 years ago now. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and at the moment she is still often considered probably at least top 5. It depends on who you ask. I would say she's the third best in the game at the moment.
People think Chucky is a contender. I think the Blight nerf didn't do enough to make him worse than Spirit, in my opinion. I think she's 4th, but I don't think she's 5th.
Yeah, I would. I mean, once again, it's one of those things. I think Nurse will always be number 1, but I think 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think you can make an argument for any of them, and it just really comes down to like very nitpicky semantics at that point.
Yeah, I mean, even Nurse, in my personal opinion, I think she's a killer that like she has not been like this is the first time she's been number 1 in quite a long time actually.
Who would you have put at number 1 before that?
I think Spirit before she got nerfed.
Mm-hmm.
And like obviously I think you have to include add-ons as well, because people are like, oh, you can't include all add-ons, but like especially when you're P100, like I had enough Mother-Daughter Ring and amulets to make it basic. I think I played about 300 games of them after the nerf was announced. So you have to include those add-ons, and I think those add-ons were the best killer in the game. And I think especially like even after Spirit was nerfed, Mother-Daughter Ring amulet was crazy better than Nurse. I think Blight, as soon as Adrenaline Vial got was better than her as well. I think she was the 3rd best killer in the game at some point. That's obviously talking about Nurse now, not Spirit. But it's like it kind of just goes to show that it's very difficult to kind of decide who is the best killer at like the top ranks, because there's so little kind of discrepancy between them, and they're always being changed all the time as well. But yeah, I do think Spirit's 4th best in my opinion, because I do think the Billy is miles better, and I think the Blight is a little bit better.
Yeah, I always forget to bring up Billy. But I do appreciate that you bring in add-ons into account with that, because I've said this, but I understand why people don't, because they want the consistency of it, and some killers' add-ons literally change how strong the killer can be. But I mean, my argument has always been I don't think it's realistic, because how often are you playing against a killer that brings no add-ons?
That's the thing. Like, who else are these add-ons for? Is Mother-Daughter Ring for Blight or something? No, it's for Spirit, so you have to include it when talking about Spirit strength.
Right, and I'm convinced the only reason people don't bring up add-ons is because of Tombstone. I am convinced that is the only reason. If Tombstone didn't exist, people would bring them up, but they just don't.
Yeah, no, genuinely, I think that people like want Myers. I mean, to be honest, like Tombstone Myers is still shit poop from a bot, but yeah, I think that's like half the reason.
Well, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think even with Tombstone Myers isn't that great, but it changes his tier list ranking so much. He goes from one of the worst killers in the game to all right.
I think it's like B tier with it. So like people don't want to see Myers in B tier ever. So they will always like this add-on. This no add-ons. He's D tier.
It's also I've heard some say they don't take perks into account. I don't think that's fair either.
I think that's crazy, but no one is going into like. When was the last time you went against a killer who was completely naked? Like I go against like one every year.
I mean, I did the 50 games of Chucky completely naked for testing, but you know, I don't do that like normally.
No, I would never do it. It's horrible. I hate it. I'm so attached to barbecue. I cannot take it off. I get upset.
I didn't do too bad. I got I think my average kill rate was 2.6.
That's not bad, to be fair.
Yeah,
was this pre-buff Chucky as well?
Yeah. That was well, depends on once again depends on who you ask, but yeah, pre-buff Chucky. That was no camping or tunneling either.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's why when people tell me I'm bad at the character, I'm like, no, I'm not. Fuck you.
No, I don't get like no.
Um, but you know, even after that, she still didn't really get knocked down. Because basically
No,
all they really did was some add-on adjustments, which didn't change much, honestly speaking.
no,
And
because they gave her Blossom. So what changed? Mother Daughter Ring Amulet stayed exactly the same. All they did was take away her greens, which okay, I think we're a little overtuned, but I really, really, really miss Brooch. I'm so angry about Brooch still.
what did
Um,
what did
it was so
Birch?
you know Ribbon and Comb give you charge speed.
Hmm.
Like Brooch gave you basically more charge speed, so the bar filled up faster.
Hmm.
Oh, it was just so nice to have. I miss it so much.
Um, but after all those changes, are there any changes you would make other than the obvious, you know, bug fixes and whatnot? But any changes you would make to the current spirit?
Like I'm quite notorious for being an elitist with Spirit. I really want her played in a certain way, and I know that sounds like quite limiting.
Hmm.
But I feel like a lot of killers, like think of any mobility killer that has like a very oppressive chase power. Whenever they miss, they have a fatigue. Nurse fatigues, Blight, Wesker, everyone fatigues. But for some reason, Spirit gets like a 7 meters per second speed boost if she misses you,
Hmm.
and I really, really, really don't like that. And I think that if we were to introduce some form of fatigue, I think that would be brilliant because it means you can buff her, which would I don't know, I feel like if you're kind of mad at the idea of Spirit getting a fatigue when she misses, I feel like that kind of like you are the problem. You shouldn't be playing. I just hate short phasing. I think it's like all they do, they stand in the middle of the palette at a loop, and then you try and do something. You try and make a play with your stealth, and it doesn't matter because they've just short phased around the loop, and it's just so unbelievably boring, and I hate it. And I want it gutted. Um, but like alongside of that, she's just a massive accessibility issue. If
Hmm.
you are hard of hearing, you are still playing against Old Spirit, and no one liked Old Spirit. Um, People who can hear very well currently still don't like current Spirit massively. So to then give hard of hearing people Old Spirit, I don't think that's fair. I think they should give her Chucky Footsteps would have been a brilliant idea,
That's actually
or
not
like a
a
Wraith Shimmer or anything.
yeah. Chucking footsteps actually isn't a bad idea at all. I never really because I did that poll today that
Yeah,
dates this, but I did that poll today of if Chucky's laugh should stay directional when he's
yeah.
undetectable. And some people were bringing up footsteps and how it was like a good tell, and I never really thought about it for some killers like Spirit. That actually probably wouldn't be a bad idea to implement.
There's just the problem is there's no issue with it. Like obviously, like like, you have to keep her invisible, so
Hmm.
to speak. Like her whole gimmick has been being the invisible killer. But if you give her footsteps, people who can already hear her very well, I can hear most of the time exactly where she is in loops with like a pretty good consistency. I've 1v1 to her so many times, I know where she is.
Hmm.
So introducing footsteps wouldn't give me that much an advantage over her than I already kind of do. It just makes her nicer for people who are hard of hearing. I've got quite a few friends who are hard of hearing. Like one of my friends, Wolf especially. I
Hmm.
talk about Spirit a lot to them. And yeah, they've always come up with brilliant ideas. And I don't know, I kind of like wish that behavior would listen to those qualms.
Do
Um,
you do you know the logic of Chucky's footsteps?
Not massively.
So
I suppose it's where like if you can't see him, he gets a footstep. But if you can't see him, he doesn't.
so
That's kind of what I know.
so it's not too complicated. I've done testing on it and I did a whole video on it. But basically, the way it works is imagine Chucky was Sadako's height.
Yeah,
Or I'm sorry, not Sadako's height. The same height as the survivor.
yeah,
And if they make eye contact with, if they can make eye contact with Chucky, as in that like little eye cone.
yeah,
If Chucky is within 16 meters of them, the
mm,
footsteps will activate.
yeah,
And they have a 0.25 second linger or delay. So they're not exact.
mm.
They're a little bit delayed, which I think if the delay was there for Spirit, I think it would be fine because I feel
I
like
think it would have to be slightly less of a delay though, because she is like twice as fast as Chucky.
that is true. Yeah, yeah. The speed would definitely need to be adjusted, or not the speed itself, but it would need to be adjusted because of the speed. That's true.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think Spirit's always been an accessibility nightmare. I think from both sides, honestly, playing as and against.
See, that's where I draw the line though, because I feel like when you are hard of hearing, and you play Survivor, you don't have a choice to go against Spirit.
That is
But
true.
if you are hard of hearing and you decide to, I don't know how to say this like kindly, but I don't see the kind of need to, when there's 40 killers almost in the game, why would you pick up the one killer who like you just can't play it? And I just don't think with Spirit's like her pick rate is so low anyway. If she got some kind of like rework to make her not audio tracking, I would drop her completely, because that is the only reason I play her, because I think audio tracking is really fun. And there's no other game that has given me audio tracking as nice as this game.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also, and you know, some people could say it's a band-aid fix, but there's also add-ons for people if they really want to play Spirit and do have hearing issues. I mean, we could argue it's a balance problem, but I mean, you know, there's the Killer Instinct one. There's the one that makes the footsteps even louder if need be. I'm pretty sure there's a sound one, isn't there?
No, the only add-on she has that would ever help you is like Strider as the perk exists, which obviously you could help, but it's Cherry Blossom, and I have very big qualms with Cherry Blossom. I don't think it should exist at all.
Okay, fair enough.
I just don't think she should have anything visual. I think the whole point of the killer is you've learned DVD sounds as much as you can within that patch before they change, obviously. You learn the sounds, and it's kind of like a competition between who's the best at like kind of tracking. And there's a very like distinct difference between someone who's put a lot of hours into the killer and someone who doesn't know how to play the killer at all.
Yeah,
and I think I mean, you can tell like when someone is insane at Spirit, you are always questioning, does she have Cherry Blossom just because of how stupid the add-on is?
fair enough.
And I just don't think that you should have something visual like that telling you exactly where the survivor is. You should hear where the survivor is, and you should, you know, be able to work them out with your own skill and experience on the killer.
Yeah, I can see that argument. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the only change I would make to Spirit, other than the accessibility thing, obviously, is in bugs, but is and I'm curious on your thoughts of this. Do you think her attack after phase should be considered an M2?
I have been debating this like with myself for ages, because yes, it should be technically for consistency, because if they gave her a fatigue, then it would just make sense to make her M2.
Right.
And I do think Sloppy Spirit is very obnoxious, and Exposed Spirit in general, but it would limit her like perk choices down completely massively. Because she can't use any undetectable perk because she screams all of the time. There's like, she's just the least undetectable killer going. A lot of auras don't massively work on her as well. Like, you can make some of them work. And I do think some of them are very strong, like Awakened Awareness and Nowhere to Hide are probably stronger on Spirit than they are Nurse. But there's a lot of like auras that like, there'll be a lot of times where I'm phasing on someone, a gem will get done, and I will just have absolutely no bit of value because I can't see them because I'm phasing.
Right.
So when you take away the fact that she can't use any M1 perks, so that means Surge is gone. That means like Sloppy, Devour, Noed, whatever is gone. And I just feel like it really limits her perk choices. So I'm kind of on the fence about it.
Yeah, it would kind of only make her. I mean, at that point, she pretty much could only use very specific aura perks and then hook
and then
perks.
Slow down. And who wants to go against 4 slowdown Spirit?
That's a part of the argument that I don't think anyone's really brought up to me, and that's actually a fair point. But you know, it is one of those. I think honestly, it's more for me. It's more the exposed ones, even though there's not too many she can use as of now, anyways. But you know, I mean, people have realized that Awakened Awareness, Starstruck, while not the greatest thing in the world, can snowball out of control sometimes.
I think it's crazy good on Spirit. I think like a massive kind of part about Spirit is you need to be stealthy, and when you start running, you make yourself a lot louder. So when you're stealthing around a rock and you don't want to make a noise, she has an aura on you, and you don't know, you're not going to move from that rock. So all of a sudden, you've been insta out because you just don't have the information to go off. I think that's kind of just an Awakened Awareness issue more than it is a Starstruck issue. I'm going to be real. I think that like it's not balanced, but I think it's like slightly balanced by the fact that obviously one, you're exposed and you're healthy. You are a lot quieter and you have more options to make in chase once you're like I don't know, only breathing versus crying your injuries all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's something that like I'm still on the fence with myself, so I couldn't give you a definitive answer, but I hope that my multiple answers have kind of like given you a kind of debate within yourself as well.
Yeah.
I just don't like lack of perk variety, basically. That's kind of what I'm worried about.
I mean,
also that was really fun.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, like they did it. I would love to see them try it at the least. I mean, we have a PTB for a reason.
No, exactly.
Because it's one of those things. Because with Nurse, you know, that was one of the things with Nurse. You know, when people were whenever it was a couple years ago, I was like, this is the one thing I think they should do to Nurse. See how it goes, and then adjust from there.
Yeah.
I think same thing with Spirit. Like, I don't think Spirit needs any massive nerfs. I think Spirit, from a balance perspective, based on the fact that you need really good tracking, unless you're running the one add-on, is justification enough for how strong she can be.
I feel like she does fall into like, you know, in every game there's like noob characters.
Yeah.
And they end up being more unhealthy. Like, they're supposed to be characters designed for people who like aren't very good. I don't think Spirit massively falls into that, but I think the community have kind of given her that because she's very difficult to play against. So the amount of work you need to put into playing against Spirit versus playing as a Spirit of like a lower level, and even at the highest level, like, it's very difficult to be very, very good against Spirit. I've met very, very, very few people in my time that can actually like give me a good run. Aaron is one of them, Aaron. But off the top of my head, it's mainly just like random people I bump into. But I feel like because she's so much harder to go against, she ends up being like a kind of like noob stomp character. And I feel like if she were given a fatigue, that would change massively as well. I think it'd make it a lot like harder to play. So you say that obviously like you do need good tracking, and I think the Iron Will buff is going to be great as well. Because I think a lot more people are going to run it. Because like current Iron Will is still good on quite a few characters, and I think they made it quieter recently as well because they just love soundbugs. But with new Iron Will, obviously, like seeing the response on Twitter, how much like everyone is like, "Oh my god, I can't wait for like Iron Will to be back." People like, yeah, I think a lot more people are going to be running it, and I think that's going to really help, kind of deal with the fact that Spirit is kind of a noob character, noob stomper character, and you don't have to put in as much effort. Because like I agree, I don't think that Spirit at her base level is hard enough to warrant how strong she is, but I think that is more a Survivor issue than a Spirit issue, and I'm just hoping that Iron Will changes that. So I'm like very bad at like going off on tangents. I like forget what the talking point is all of the time. Talking about other things, I'm really bad. Editing is going to be really, really difficult.
You're fine. That's why I'm here. But yeah, because I definitely don't go on tangents ever. Cough cough. 7-hour unknown video. Well, I mean, like, the thing with the new Iron Will buff, because I actually like it. I said it even when
I love it.
Even when they did the nerf to it, my exact thoughts were, I don't know why they did both. My thought process was either make it 75% or make it not work when exhausted. They should not have done both. I don't know why they did. And the exhausted thing, I think, was an interesting way to nerf it.
I think the exhausted thing was actually, it probably made the most sense out of all of them. Because like obviously doing this like massive tier list video on like who is the quietest and whatever, it really shows the discrepancies between character volumes. But I'm again really on the fence about that as well, because I like the fact that there's like sound variety, and I think it's very, very, I think people don't realize actually how difficult it is to standardize Survivor volumes, because you have to take into account that higher pitches are just naturally easier to hear. So you have to work out all the frequencies of like who they are. You have to re-record some of them as well. Like if you were to standardize Survivor volumes, you have to re-record Ada's breathing and Sable's breathing.
Yeah, it's not even just a volume issue. It's also a frequency issue, because some survivors pant more often. I'm trying to think of one of, like, Alan Wake, I think, is a good example. His panting is like stupid fast. I think it's like every like 0.25 seconds. It's versus someone like Ada, who does it.
To be fair, Ada's panting is quite sharp. I think Saga is a better take, because like Saga's like just her panting is like she hardly ever pants, and it's insanely quiet. like Saga is like, if you hate Spirit and you really love Alan Wake, Saga is the character to play. Because if you play her with Light-footed, no Spirit is ever going to catch you unhealthy. Her breathing is silent. So you have to ask her to read you all of her voice lines. And I think that standardizing volumes is a lot more of a task than people are willing to make out. So I'm glad that Iron Bull wasn't like buffed back to 100%. Simply just because it saves the voice actors having to do a lot of work, and it is it's a lot harder to kind of to fix all the volume kind of discrepancies.
Yeah, and like I said, the exhaustion change to it, I think it's going to prevent people from being able to run it with someone can't just sprint burst away and hide. Yeah. Someone can't just lithe away and hide. Like there's things there to help prevent it with that one change. And I think the people who are complaining about it, which has kind of died down, but I think the people complaining about it were just being very short-sighted.
Yeah.
Audio bugs excluded, obviously, but
one day we'll get them fixed.
One day. I don't blame the devs too much because audio is such a audio occlusion. Yeah, audio occlusion is such a it's such a hard thing. I played a game. Did you ever play Rainbow Six Siege?
No, I haven't.
So that's a game that has a lot of sound cues that are very necessary for it, and the audio in that game just can go insane sometimes. It just completely stop working. And
Apex is notoriously bad as well, so I kind of get that.
Yeah, it's just sound is just a hard thing, especially in a multiplayer game, because they have to make sure the sound is working on both ends. The sound occlusion from the environment is properly working. That it's bouncing off the things it needs to, if it's going through holes or not. There's a lot of random things.
I do appreciate it. It's like it is a hard thing to like work out perfectly. It's just, I don't know, some things just don't need changing. And sound about 3 to 2.5 months ago was completely perfect. And it never needed changing. And then they introduced the worst bug we've ever had, where there was like a 6-meter ring around you, and there was no directional audio around that 6-meter ring. So someone ran through you, you wouldn't be able to tell, and it was really awful. And then they fixed it, and it was fine again. And then they just introduced another footsteps bug, and it's like, sound was good. We don't need to change these things. And it ends up like, whereas when you ruin sound, it's like rough for all killers, but you ruin, like, she has nothing going for her. Like, that is her power, is sound. So once you tweak sound that badly, you end up like destroying a killer and also ruining other killers' experiences, because like it's like Spirit isn't the only one that needs sound cues. Like you said, Chucky is really important. Nurse, artist, Pyramid Head, anyone that like needs, anyone who's like counterplay is breaking line of sight.
Yeah.
All of them need to be able to rely on sound cues. So yeah, it's not just Spirit. They get completely fucked over by it. I don't understand why they keep changing it. Very frustrating.
Yeah, and then I mean, add-on changes. I mean, obviously Cherry Blossom, but are there any other sound changes you would make?
Any sound changes?
Or not sound changes, I'm sorry. Any other general changes you would make to like the add-ons and such?
I think add-ons wise, I don't think she's in a massively bad spot. I think she's always been notorious for having like insanely strong add-ons, but I don't think that's actually massively the case anymore. I think she has a lot of terrible add-ons. And obviously I'm worried about like, you know, why are we giving strong killers like add-on buffs? But I did a tier list on add-ons. I ranted for about 40 minutes about how good some of them are and about how a lot of them are just completely useless. Just about 6 add-ons that are worth running, and there is no point running any of the others. And yeah, I don't like something like Amulet it makes you slower and then makes you use more of your power, and you don't get any recharge benefit from it. Which the recharge benefit needed to go. That's why it was so strong. You had 70% recharge on an add-on, which was crazy. But like, I don't know, it's just terrible now. Just her durations in general aren't great. I think yellow duration is really fun personally for me to use because I like long phasing, so I wouldn't change that one. But purple duration is awful. A lot of her greens are completely useless. I think that recharge is overtuned. I think flute does way too much. I don't think a single add-on should ever give you 40% recharge. I don't think 2 add-ons should give you 70 either. When you look at like, I feel like it's a bit of a joke when you look at other killers and what their add-ons are. You look at Pyramid Head add-ons and they are awful. And then you look at Spirit and it's like, oh yeah, I can go like 25% faster and have 40% recharge. Like, that's ridiculous.
Do you know if it's multiplicative or additive?
So recharge is additive.
It's
So
additive?
it is
Okay.
it's just the straight 40 plus the 30, which obviously is worse than multiplicative in that sense. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, recharge too much. I don't think speed is that good. I think like yellow ribbon is better than yellow speed. I think those two add-ons are completely fine. But I'd have quite a juicy overhaul.
You're gonna hate when I tell you which add-on I run.
Well, which add-ons do you run?
Juniper and the hat.
What? Why Juniper? I'm very anti-Juniper.
Juniper is one of those ones, and I actually kind of want to go into one of the changes I think Spirit quote needs. I don't think I need this, but I think it would be a nice quality of life thing. But Juniper is one of those ones where the problem with it is, in my opinion, is that you don't know it's working.
See, I know what you're going to say, and I'm going to say completely the opposite. I think passive phasing should go.
Really?
100%. I don't think you should be able to see her hands flicker like Sadako. I think the entire concept should go. I think it's outdated. It is
fair enough. You know what? Yeah, I with Sadako having it, I think Spirit doesn't need it anymore.
I just think I think Sadako has proved how boring it is when someone who knows when they're passive phasing and doubles back when you literally cannot see them. I think she proves that it's very boring going against something like that, because you end up going in like an old Spirit 50-50 where you have no information to go off of.
I do think
so yeah, I don't like it.
I do think Spirit kind of alleviates it a little bit because she's 110, but yeah, I could see it.
Kind of. The thing is, like, I know what you're saying. I just don't think it's a good thing at all. I think it should go.
Yeah, well, and I think not being able to see it right now, once again, I think that's the reason why a lot of people don't run Juniper.
Yeah.
Because once again, it's one of those things in this game which is as more common than it should be, where you don't know the effect, like you can't see the effect, so you don't know if it's the reason you got a hit or something. But it's frustrating for the other side because they saw it or didn't see it.
No, that's the thing. Like, you have like no information yourself to go off of.
Right.
Is that there's this spirit main called T Scholar that absolutely swears by it, and he always says that like, oh, like I know I got the hit because of Juniper Bonsai there. And I'm like, but you don't, because you can't see it. So what's the point of running the add-on? And also, Spirit's strength is in, I don't know, the chase power. Why don't give add-ons that buff her chase power or give it back to you more often? Why are you trying to buff her downtime in like the worst way? Give her less downtime. Don't try and buff her already terrible downtime.
Could you imagine if they added an add-on for Spirit where she's always in face?
I would love it so much. I used to mod the game on private servers, and I made like a Terminator Spirit where her phase just lasted forever. It would immediately charge up. It would immediately come back. It was like twice as fast as Mother Doring. It would last like 5 minutes. Which was crazy. It was so fun.
I'm gonna spitball the worst add-on of all time. Iridescent add-on for Spirit. You can activate phase on command, but you move at 90% speed.
I just think like long phases are actually very frustrating to go against, to be fair. I think because people are so used to like just the default 5 seconds. If you use anything more than that, imagine like just a million like second phase.
I mean,
it's like imagine like, you know, like Eerie Blight on the PTB where he could just rush infinitely and it had a 20-second cooldown. Imagine that for Spirit. Like, you would just always be getting hit.
You know, people can say what they want about that add-on in particular. I thought it was fun as hell.
I thought it was funny, and I didn't actually think it was very good. It's just very boring to go against, like, powers should have limitations, basically.
Yeah, I think that the biggest problem with that add-on is the problem a lot of add-ons run into, where it's, to the average player, the average Blight, someone who sucks at Blight like I do, it wasn't that bad. It was actually kind of funny just seeing a Blight pinball forever. But when you give it to Lilith Omen, it becomes a problem.
Yeah, and then it becomes like it's kind of like a double problem where every 20 seconds you are always going to get a hit, but then in that 20-second downtime you're just a very boring M1 killer, and no one likes long cooldowns. I think something like Overwatch has proved that everyone hates long cooldowns.
Oh, people,
so don't give them to DBD, please. Don't give them to DBD.
Did you play VHS when it was a thing?
No, I didn't. I did not have a PC when VHS was a thing.
That was probably the biggest criticism of that game was that the monster cooldowns were so long.
Yes, it's boring. No one likes long cooldowns. Stop. Stop with the cooldowns. No one wants a 20-second blight. We're here to play Blight, not M1 Killer for 20 seconds.
I think VHS kind of alleviated it a bit because every
Yeah.
monster had 3 powers, so
Right.
there was other things to do in the downtime. But in Dead by Daylight, most, if not all, the killers, there's a couple exceptions, have the one. I think that's one thing that makes Vecna very interesting is
Yeah.
that you're constantly cycling and rotating, and by the time you're done with your full rotation, one of them is usually off of cooldown by that point, unless you're just literally spamming them all out. But
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think like Vecna is like, I think it kind of goes to show, because you know on PTB where his cooldowns are like 50 seconds on, and you just had so much downtime between what was the good ability, it became very boring.
Yeah.
I think that just it perfectly goes to show that long cooldowns are not made for DPD because people like using their powers all the time, and when you give them long cooldowns, they become very, very boring to play. And Vecna on PTB was very, very boring to play. It was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the game is I mean, especially once you get into the higher end of it, the game can go so fast.
Yeah, it's a very fast-paced game. That's why I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, Chucky's cooldown being 20 seconds, like people can complain from the balance perspective, but like a lot of times when I would try to teach new Chuckies, it was very difficult because a 20-second cooldown, it's like they get to use their power maybe 4 or 5 times sometimes.
Yeah.
So I could see that, but yeah, back to add-ons though. It's like, I mean, I could see number tweaks, and I think that's really what a lot of Spirits add-ons need. But otherwise, I do think, and Cherry Blossom, but I do think for the most part, Spirits add-ons are decently okay. I think enough.
I think they're fine. I think they're completely serviceable. But it kind of like it brings me into the point of like current Yakiyoki Amulet, sorry, is because it makes you so slow and you have no recharge or no power. Once you use a full phase, your power isn't cooldown for 25.5 seconds. And it's like no one wants to use this add-on. Can you please fucking change it?
What's the one that lets you blink back to your husk?
That one's also terrible, but it's the Wakizashi Sire.
Have you been able to get it to work? Because I haven't.
I try to like an entire stream. I think it's very disorienting. I think because half my issue is right. If I put my husk so it's facing a window, so when someone vaults that window, they vault into my husk and I can attack them. If I put my husk facing south and I'm phasing, and at some point during my phase I make a 180 to go like round something, and I'm currently facing north. When I TP back, I will be facing north again instead of the way my husk was facing, and it's really like disorienting. I hate it. So I would, if I would change that add-on, I would make it so you can like, or at least put a setting for like husk settings, because it's like Dredge has an add-on, like Dredge by base kit lets you face the way your husk was placed, and has an add-on which does what Wakizashi Sire does. Right. And I think that shouldn't be an add-on. That should just be a setting for like when you blink back and return back, it should be in the direction that you're currently facing or the direction which you were facing. And I just think it should be a setting for Nurse, Blight, and not Blight, Nurse, Spirit, and Dredge.
Yeah, for sure. I've said that since Dredge's release. I don't understand why they made it an add-on and not a setting.
It's so stupid.
And then there's the other one. I've tried getting used to this one too. The one that blocks vault locations.
The issue with that one is that if you buff the numbers too much, then it becomes completely uncountable, because Spirits, a massive part of Spirits' power is being able to block pallets and windows yourself with your husk. So if you end up buffing the numbers, so are like Jungle Gyms and like Shack, you can block the Shack, and then when you unphase, you also block the window because you're like the numbers extend to the window. Like even here, if this guy vaults this pallet in the little video, like he's already vaulted it. He'll get stuck in my husk and he can't move. So if you're able to block both the pallet and the window, the survivor can do absolutely nothing about it. Like Shack with the pallet down is already a 50-50 versus Spirit. If you buff the numbers too much, you end up blocking the window. They can't do anything. So I don't think that add-on should be touched.
It's a weird. The only thing I would do is just change the wording. I know it's a dumb change, but because when
she was going to explode, I was so excited for Exploding Spirit, and she doesn't explode. I'm so upset.
I was just confused because I thought it would block pallet vaults too, and it doesn't.
Yeah. No.
Because it says vaults. Why doesn't it just say windows?
Yeah, it's yeah, the wording's a bit iffy. I
That
just think it's an add-on that should stay bad because if you have it good, it becomes really, really, really ugly to play against.
Yeah, I think some people are opposed to like niche add-ons like that that like only come into
Mm.
use in a couple situations. I'm fine with niche add-ons like that. I
I
think
like these add-ons.
I think they add character and you know for certain players can definitely like add personality to how they play a character in specific.
Yeah.
Um I think Silk Pillow on Chucky is a good example. I'm like one of the few who uses it because I
Mm.
love the effect. But it's a lot of people will argue it's not good, even though I think it is. Uh,
Mm.
uh, and you know that actually brought in. You said something that brought up something I kind of did want a little bit of a change of spirit. Was I just thought about it with vault locations and I completely went blank. Well, on to the next topic. This is one that I've been bringing up a little bit more because I think it just starts interesting discussions on perks, but her teachables. Um, I don't.
I think our teachables are really unhealthy. I can't lie.
Um, I'm not gonna lie to you. This shows how little research I do before this. What are spirits teachables?
She has Haunted Grounds and Rancor and Spirit Fury.
Spirit Fury. Spirit Fury. Oh right, that is obviously it has spirit in the name. Stupid. Uh, uh. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay. Well, we'll go down the list. Haunted Grounds. I think.
I think it's unhealthy. It suffers from the Pentimenta issue of it punishes survivors for doing a side objective, which they kind of like need to do. I don't like the RNG of it. I feel like if you have like Haunted Grounds and Devour Undying up, there's kind of like a lose situation that it puts survivors in. And I don't know how you change it is my issue.
The
I think a lot of the time I really hate it when people like say something and they're like they don't have an issue. They don't have a fix to their issue and they just say, oh, this is an issue, but I'm not going to say how you fix it. But I genuinely don't know how to fix Haunted.
there's really the only thing I can think of is giving it some kind of tell, but it would have to be something. It would have to be something like so minute that it's not completely obvious. Um, maybe like the skulls, like one of the skulls is facing a different direction, or
Yeah, but even then, as soon as someone like clocks onto it,
yeah,
then you end up with the issue where like it's a what do you call it? It's like an information skill issue where like if you're new, you have no idea what that is, so you'll end up fucking over your team.
Yeah,
And if you're not new and you know what the tell is, you will never proc it. And I don't think that's a good idea either.
yeah.
I just think that letting them like if there's like a way to signal that Haunted Grounds is in play before you pop it, because it also like it fucks over your teammates as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I can be in chase and Haunted Grounds will proc. I didn't do anything, and I just get insta-downs.
That is true. I do think that's. I mean, they could maybe change it so it only affects the person that did it, but like double the time or something.
I wouldn't be massively against that, but then it's still like it. I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't quite suffer from the Pentimento issue. So first look at Pentimento, but Haunted Grounds is not. I don't think it's it's not a friendly perk.
Yeah,
on the unhealthier side of things.
I think the idea of a hex that is a trap should exist, but I could see a different way of them doing it because it is I mean you could maybe argue Undying, but and Retribution kind of to a degree, but I think Haunted Grounds being the only one kind of saves it a little bit. But yeah, I can see the issues with it. I mean, the amount of times I've been chasing somebody when I'm running Haunted Grounds and someone happens to just pop it and I just win because of it.
Have you ever done it where it's like where you're mid swing, you have already pressed M1, you're lunging at them, and then mid lunge they pop it and they die. It's it's awful.
And you know, someone could make the argument, what about Devour Hope? Well, Devour Hope, like there's still an indication, like if they're paying attention, they'll know you have it before the third stack. Because of the movement speed.
It's like a game sense thing as well. Yeah. Movement speed is a big tell. I don't think a lot of people like realize. Like if all of a sudden your spirit's going 115, she's probably got Devour, and if she's running away from the hook and not camping, she's probably got Devour.
Spirit Fury. What was the other one?
Uh, uh Rancor, and then
Rancor. Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
also don't like Rancor.
Yeah, Rancor, as much fun as I think it is, I do think it is a very unhealthy perk.
Yeah, just the idea of like just killing someone end game, I just think is like, I think the problem is as well, it promotes like really unhealthy builds, especially with game effort. That's more of a game effort issue, but like Nemesis Rancor is really irritating.
It,
I just think the perk as a whole is yucky.
I think it's funny with Rancor because, or Game of Foot in particular, because I feel like it fixes the issue that, I feel like it fixes the issue that Save the Best for Last kind of has. The reason why I think it's an unhealthy perk for the game, as much as I enjoy Save.
Yeah,
Because being able to switch your obsession, I think, is actually a very healthy thing on the killer
yeah,
side. But I think
yeah,
Rancor is the one exception because
yeah.
it can allow for those late games things. My suggestion for Rancor has been, it does the same thing it does now, except for it's. I've had I don't know which one would be healthier, but either the person who was on generators the least becomes the obsession in game, or the person who did more generators becomes the obsession in game.
Mm.
That has been my suggestion. Because that
Yeah,
means go on. Go on.
no, I was going to say like, because I feel like with obviously you as the obsession can tell because you can see the killer's aura, so you know that you're going to be Rancor at the end of it.
Right.
But like a lot of the time, like if you're in solo queue as well, it's really irritating. If if you decisive strike them are like one gen left and you're in chase, so you can't see their aura because you're looking at them, and then all of a sudden you pop your adrenaline, but you're exposed and you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I just think there needs to be more ways of telling that you're the obsession. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like again, I just think our perks are so. Like if we then talk about Spirit Fury, I have no idea what I'm gonna do with Spirit Fury either. I think they're all super perks. I hate them so much.
I I think this is one where we're gonna disagree on. I think Spirit Fury's fine.
I think it's so fucking boring. People are like, oh my god, I hate 4 slowdowns, and it's like the worst killer to go against is any killer, but like Bubba especially, Spirit especially, Blight, just anyone that has Spirit Fury enduring, I am instantly completely out of that game. I do not care.
Do you think
It's like so disinteresting to me.
I mean, because that's another issue. It'd be a consistency thing. I was going to say, should it just not be able to combine with enduring? But then there'd be an issue with that.
I just don't think it should be a thing. I think like, I think remote palettes in this event, I think are very much shown that the like killers breaking pallets in artificial ways is not fun. Like I think enduring itself is also an issue. I think obviously this isn't talking about Spirit anymore, but it is an issue on Spirit and high mobility killers, where a lot of like unsafe edge pallets, you really need to play for a stun.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get the stun, then you're dead. But if they have enduring, then it doesn't matter. And I don't like enduring. I think Spirit Fury wouldn't be anywhere near as much of a problem if enduring wasn't a thing. But I still think it's a problem anyway. Because just having a pallet broken, like people need the time. You need the stun and the break time to make distance to somewhere like serious.
Do you think Brutal Strength is fine?
I think Brutal is fine. I just don't like what it's paired with. I think Brutal is often paired with like Brutal Wesker, or Brutal Wesker, Brutal MDR Flute Spirit, Brutal Double Eerie Blight back in the day.
Brutal Chucky at the moment.
Yeah, it exacerbates an issue that is already present, which is just break pallet, use power, like zone by pretending you're using your power, and then break the pallet and then use your power. I think it's insanely it's insanely boring. Hate it.
Right, but I think for me, Spirit Fury, I think because you have to break 2 other pallets, and I think since most killers can't, quote unquote can't, just instantly, they can't just instantly get it at the start of the game. And I think it's another thing of once it's seen, then it can be played around. I think that's the biggest problem with Spirit Fury, in my opinion, is that until you see it go off, you don't know.
And a lot of the time, someone else will break 2 pallets in their chase, and when it's your time to be chased, Spirit Fury is already going to be up.
Yeah.
And then you get fucked over by something that is completely out of your control, which is, again, I don't like that, especially for solo queue.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you hear my dog barking, by the way?
I can hear your dog barking.
Can I go, deal with him for a bit? I want to just let him know that, he's fine. Can I have like 2 seconds?
Yeah, you can go
Okay,
comfort
sorry.
your dog. Fine.
Sorry.
Ninjar. Thank you for the follow, by the way.
Sorry. Are you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to chat. Talking to chat. You're good. And Cuck Nugget, a name I never thought I'd say out loud. Thank you for the follow as well. I love Twitch sometimes. Boy. How do people wake up this early?
Sorry, I can't promise that he's not going to continue barking because there's a really horrible dog next door that keeps barking at him.
It's fine.
My dog is very autistic and hates that dog.
It's fine.
All dogs. Yeah, sorry about
You
that.
go.
Where were we? Yeah. Anyway, fuck Spirit Fury. I hate that perk. I hate all the perks.
I take it you're not a fan of Coup either.
No, I don't like Coup. I think Coups is very unhealthy. I think it's killer made for this, but no one wants to talk about it.
Do you think it was fine before the buffs?
I don't. No, I don't think we should have buffed it. I don't think it was fine before the buff. I just think people just didn't really use it. Oh my god, my dog does not shut the fuck up. Yeah, I don't like the idea of like you end up it's basically made for this. It's killer made for this. You end up like thinking that you're gonna make a window and then the killer does this giant lunge and you get hit and it ruins everything. It's not fun to be combating perks. I like going against a player's skill, and I don't like the idea that you are playing against a perk instead of someone using the perk. Like when someone has pain res, you can deal with pain res because you can sabo, you can use breakdown. Sabo is really 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 good at the minute as well. So I don't want to see anyone complaining about pain res when sabo is in the state that it's in. You can not die next to a pain res hook. You can last longer in chase. But with Coup, like you're just doing your objective, and all of a sudden your chase is worse.
What about?
Don't like it.
We'll probably get into this with builds, but so ideally, I'd assume you're just not a fan of things that adjust base mechanics in the game.
Yeah, it's not fun going against things that kind of like are the reason you've lost or won your chase. With like I don't like just carries. Like you can like I said with pain res, you have to be a good killer to make use out of pain res. You don't have to be a good killer to make use out of Coup. Coup just exists and you've lost because of Coup. And I don't like that. I don't like you know when someone has like no ed, like someone's like a really 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 bad killer the entire game, and they just get a lucky no ed and you've been M1'd, you're down, and you just go down next to the node and you hook next to the node, and that's it. That's your game over. You are dead, and everyone has to leave you. And It's not the end of the world, but it's boring. You know, I don't like that.
I do think I don't envy Behavior's Balance team because there's fucking what do we have like 200 perks now, and they all have to be different in some way and do need to feel impactful. Especially for the user. And I think that was part of the reason why Coup also didn't really get used that much before the buff. Even after, it's not real. I don't see it too often personally. But I do agree to an extent. At the same time, like I think the solution to like coup is the same solution to Spirit Fury. I feel is just I feel like there should be an indicator it's up. Like I think Bamboozle is like a good example of because like once they vault the window, like you hear the noise, you know it's in play, right? Um, and I mean I guess you can make the same argument for Bamboozle as well, but it's a little different because it's not like completely uncounterable. Because like once you hear the noise, you can just leave the loop.
Bamboozle is also like very, very, very important on killers like Bubba. I just M1 killers in general. So I don't think Bamboozle is an issue at all. I think nerfing Bamboozle, you then have to start looking at changing the entire M1 roster because there's just certain loops that they cannot deal with. They don't have the time to be dealing with like long walls efficiently, or like a lot of main buildings. They don't have the time at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bamboozle is completely fine in my opinion, but I don't think Coup and Spirit of Fury are the way forward. I think you end up creating very boring gameplay loops for them.
I think what they did with Dark Arrogance, I hope it's a show that they're going to start doing it with more perks. I do kind of like the idea of some perks having a downside. It's something we don't see very often at all, really.
Yeah, it's normally only an add-on thing, where it's like, this add-on will buff you this, but nerf you slightly here. Yeah. And I think that perks having the kind of same philosophy, I think is quite interesting.
Yeah, I like I could see like Spirit Fury, like maybe like it does what it still does now, but maybe you break pallets like 15% slower. And then you kind of have to pair it with Brutal Strength to make it like decent on top of Enduring.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely ways to circumvent it. I mean, it's the same thing they kind of did with Batteries Included, where it's like, I'm only bringing that up because it's in the gameplay, but Batteries Included, like it only works on completed generators. So the 5% increase, while very good, you're usually only getting it in locations you don't really want to be around. And once again, someone could make the argument, yeah, but if I'm playing Survivor and I'm taking the killer to that location, they're kind of getting rewarded for me playing, quote, correctly. And I can see that argument, but at the same time, like perks still need to do something.
Yeah, you end up like when you keep forcing that argument, you end up like really limiting yourself on what perks can do. I think you obviously have to be mindful of it. I think it's kind of annoying when you have like perks that do punish you for playing well. I don't think Batteries Included is the end of the world. I'm just not the biggest fan of haste anyway. I know it's kind of like ironic me using it. I'm obviously using it specifically for a video. But like, yeah, it's literally like I've ranted about how much I hate Enduring, and you're going to ask me about Spirit Build. I'm going to say Enduring is the best perk because it just is. But like, yeah, there's just so many perks that like you end up gatekeeping yourself from creating if you keep up with that philosophy. And I think it's a really like fine line. You need to have like be really good at crafting perks to understand what is too far and what isn't, because Coup is too far. Fire Up and Batteries Included is not.
Yeah, it's Fire Up especially. Fire Up, you probably use a buff on anything.
So shit. It's so poo.
I heard a suggestion for Fire Up to get rid of like everything it does except the pickup, but like increase the number immensely.
I think the pickup's completely fine. I think the pickup was like having pickup speed is. I think more. Perks should try and introduce.
Yeah, it's the only perk in the game that does it, isn't it?
Yeah, like no other perk ever does it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing they've never really touched. it's yeah. But yeah,
it used to be better, but they ended up shadow nerfing it by introducing that stupid flashlight buffer.
Yeah,
and now it doesn't really matter if you're that much later.
Fuck that flashlight buffer. It's one of those things where I feel like both sides, killer mains, survivor mains, often we butt heads on a lot of things, but I think it's one of the few ones where most people on both sides are pretty in agreement. It was stupid.
Yeah. No, because I feel like a lot of it is like from the killer end, it's like this is stupid. You missed a flashlight save, and you're still being rewarded with it. And from the survivor end, it's like there's not that much skill expressive shit left in the game. So can I have like flashlight saves did used to take skill. You had to have the proper timing, and now you don't. And it's like, cool. That's really interesting. I'm so glad I wasted my time learning that.
I think if background player, even in its current state, where I think it's okay now, I think if background player didn't exist, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But because they did both at basically the same time, I think was part of the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, it became like really irritating. Like flashbangs as well used to take so much skill, and now I'm just like, cool, that's actually really interesting.
I got hit.
Like it's so difficult to miss them now.
I got hit with 3 flashbangs at the same time the other day. It was like I wasn't mad or nothing. It was just like, really? Okay.
Oh,
um
it's hate the buffer.
yeah, it just don't yeah, just don't slug people though. People will get mad about that.
Oh, I love slugging people. It's so fun.
Yeah, I was playing PTB for I'm gonna say her name wrong because I'm a stupid American, for
Oh
Laura.
god. Okay, so Laura is like Dora the Explorer. Lara is like Barack Obama.
I know how to say I say Lara is how I try
Yeah,
to say it.
that is exactly how you say it. That's perfect. Her name is Lara. See, so easy.
It's the problem is just the way I talk makes, because I never have to say, like, aura is just not something I say very often.
You've never said ara ara. You're so
No,
fake.
no, unfortunately, I may be a VTuber slash PNG tuber, but I do not say aura aura, and that's the only time you'll ever hear me say it.
Do you know what the funny thing is? She was originally going to be called Laura Croft. But the dev team were like, Americans can't pronounce Laura, so we're going to call her Lara instead. And now you have the issue of every single American calling her Laura instead of Lara.
I don't mind people mispronouncing it personally. My problem is people spelling it wrong. That's when I have an issue. It's like you have no excuse on that one.
No, she is my comfort character. I have played every single game since I was like 13, 12. So I really, really, really love her. So I get very angry when people pronounce her name incorrectly.
What was I even talking? Oh yeah, I was on the PTB for her, and
Yeah.
I was trying the new Chucky changes because the cooldown got changed.
Yeah.
And someone was saboing a hook in front of me, and I slugged them, and then I put the person down I was carrying, and the whole team was there, so I slugged them. They were not happy about that one.
No, I don't. I think slugging is completely fine. I really don't see an issue with it. I think of all the playstyles to go against, slugging is the least offensive.
Yeah, as long as you're not slugging someone on the ground for the entire time for no reason, I think it's fine.
Oh yeah, bleed out's cringe as fuck. But actual slugging to go and chase someone you can physically see is much more a survivor issue, because why are you here?
They here? Yeah. Like the person who saboed, sure, but then I saw the other 2 people and I was like, why wouldn't I go for them? Yeah, they were not happy about that. Their argument was it was PTB, so I shouldn't have done it. What does that have to do with anything?
That's ridiculous. The whole point of the PTB is you're supposed to play seriously, so you can see what the issue is with each puck.
Yeah. Speaking of, as a fan, I know this is really off topic. As a fan, do you like the inclusion on how they did her? By the way,
yeah, I could run about this for ages. Because obviously I played the original game since I was a kid. There was a very set continuity of what Lara Croft as a person is. And in 2013, they completely assassinated that with the game. And I love the 2013 game. I think it's brilliant, but it's not a Tomb Raider game. That is not Lara Croft. That is not Tomb Raider. There are no tombs, and her face model is completely different, and the whole kind of her part of her identity was she had dual pistols, she could swan dive everywhere for no fucking reason, she could handstand pull over. She can't do any of that in 2013. So they used her 2013 outfit and her Rise face model. I am they call it the Survivor trilogy. I am very anti-Survivor trilogy.
I once again, I think this is where we're going to disagree a little bit. I do think it was character assassination, but I kind of prefer the 2013 one myself.
Which ones have you played?
All of them.
You played all of them and you prefer 2013?
Yes.
It's not the same lady, though. It's a really good game. It's really, if I, in my opinion, Last Revelation, the first 20 levels don't... Once you get to Cairo, the game doesn't exist anymore. But Last Revelation and Anniversary are the best Tomb Raider games. And I think that 2013 is the best, quote, Tomb Raider games. I think it's up there. I just think it's a really shit Tomb Raider game.
I'm actually playing through Rise again right now. And
I really struggled with Rise. I hate Tundra just
I
so much. So.
it's so slow.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's my problem with it. It's just like, especially starting out, it's so fucking slow. Um,
Yeah.
and the pacing is all over the place, and like the game's fine. It's just I don't know. As far as like preferring the new to the old, I think it's just I prefer the more grounded Laura. That's just a me, or I'm sorry, Laura. That's just a me thing though.
No, I love like Conti Lara. I think it's so funny. Like, you know, in Legend when like the when she like breaks into like the Japanese man's like kind of giant skyscraper and kills all of his mercenaries. And he gets really angry and it's like, "You've killed my men." And she goes, "I simplified your payroll." That's like, that is Lara Croft to me. Like, she's just a cunt.
Yeah, fair enough. Once again, it's personal, but I do agree it is character assassination to a degree.
Yeah.
It is not the same character.
No, not at all. I do like her model though. I think it's probably the best model they could have used. I think Underworld model is her best, and Angel of Darkness and Tomb Raider 4. But I do think her Rise model is beautiful. I think she looks incredible. I don't think she looks like Lara, but she does look very good. I love the fact that this is kind of the first, like, it's kind of like an amalgamation of the 2013 outfit and the Rise face, and I really like that. And it'd be really interesting because they just have to give her a classic or unified outfit.
Yeah,
And I think it's really interesting to see Rise face in a classic outfit.
yes.
I think it'd be really fun.
Square Enix is pretty okay when they do collabs, so I would hope I would hope they're in good graces with behavior at the moment.
I think the Tomb Raider community would go mental if she didn't have a classic outfit. I think the Tomb Raider community already hates themselves enough as it is. You don't need them to hate TBD. Trust me, they are horrible, horrible people.
It's funny because I wasn't even really like a big part of the Tomb Raider community, and then the moment it got announced for Dead by Daylight, that was all that was on my Twitter feed for like a week.
Yeah, there's a lot of like I was in it just before she got released because I'm like really, really, really excited for Tomb Raider 12, the unified one. So like I'm kind of like dabbling in the Tomb Raider Twitter a little bit, and a lot of it is just like misogynistic 40-year-olds that are like, Lara was a sex symbol, and it's like, her tits were triangles, mate. Like, that's not a sex symbol. Grow up. It's like, she should be sexy. Look how ugly Rise is. I'm like, she doesn't look ugly. She looks normal. That's an attractive woman.
I will never understand that argument.
I think it's just massive cope from the fact that she doesn't look like how she used to. Like, Lara was like always like very like long-faced, androgynous, furrowed eyebrows, big lips, long nose. She just doesn't have that anymore.
It's a different art style for one. For two, they're trying to convey two different characters.
Yeah.
Like I think the current version, the 2013 version, wouldn't work with the old version, like as far as personality goes. You know, I know personality isn't all like, just because someone looks a certain way doesn't mean they have to act a certain way. But with games and character design, it's a little bit different, because you have to still convey the character based on the clothes they're wearing, how they're wearing it, like what their body shape is. There's a lot of other factors that go into it. Any character designer will tell you this. And yeah, I don't think old Laura would work with the current iteration that they're doing with her.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I am disappointed with her perks. There was nothing to do with the bow and arrow or the pickaxe.
I know what you mean. Like I kind of like obviously I'm a classic stan. I like the dual pistols, but I did quite like I think the bow and arrow and the pickaxe was quite fun.
Yeah. It's just,
and there's nothing.
Yeah, the pickaxe has just become so iconic towards the newer version of the character. I was kind of surprised there's nothing. There's not even like an animation in the lobby with it.
Yeah, there's nothing at all. I think the whole release as a whole was so like, there was no trailer, there was no teaser. It was just an animated PNG of her fingering a totem. I'm like, cool. My favorite character has nothing.
Also, I'm also disappointed there's no, I mean, there kind of is with the chest perk, but there's no perk for, like, going into basement. Because I thought that would be the closest thing they could have to, like, tomb raiding, would be going into basement.
I think the issue is you've just had a character who's all about the basement. So making another character with a perk about the basement, like I can kind of see why they like avoided that.
I guess.
It's like I don't know. I think the only perk that actually like makes sense for her, like obviously raiding chests, is like I guess like finesse kind of makes sense.
I like finesse. I think finesse was a good thematic one.
Yeah, I think finesse is quite fun.
Yeah, and then the I swear I think people are gonna sleep on the screaming perk until it becomes a problem.
What's the screaming perk? Sorry.
So you have to cleanse a totem and open the chest, and when you do, anytime you would scream, you don't, and you see the killer's aura.
See, I just don't think that like I think it's like reverse calm spirit. Well, not even it's a calm spirit, but like slightly better. But like I can't think of like it's like, you know, people still run distortion calm spirit, and I'm like, why? I don't get it. Like who is making you scream that is so threatening? I think that perk's terrible, terrible, terrible. I think her other perk is actually going to be an issue, because if a full team bring brand new parts and that, like at the start of the game, you just hide out corrupt, you open a few chests, rummage a few chests, and all of a sudden, all of your brand new parts take away an entire quarter of the gen. And there is nothing you can do about it. I think that's crazy.
Friend of the channel, Unladen Crow, did a whole video on it about the math for it.
Yeah.
And while I do agree it might become a problem, I still want to wait and see.
I want to wait and see. I think we should have like a change of pace on what like current metas are and everything. But I do think if it does become meta and people realize it's going to be a very, very, very boring meta.
The one change I would make to it as of now is make it so if you're running the perk, when you open a chest, it can't have a toolbox. That is the only change I would make to it.
Yeah.
As of now, because I do think it's a little ridiculous that you can be doing that, get a green toolbox. Maybe. I mean, obviously it's RNG, but
yeah.
And I think in combination,
even a brown toolbox like isn't bad.
Yeah. But I think in combination with toolboxes is what the issue is going to become. I mean, that's like 90% of Gen Perks problems, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so back to the main topic of Spirit. Welcome to the podcast, by the way. Perks or builds. Is there anything in particular you would like consider like your main build for Spirit?
My personal main build is Lethal Barbecue. I used to run only Lethal Barbecue for the longest time. And I've been dabbling in like other perk slots. Like in so many videos, you'll see me run like Agi Starstruck or like Devour Undying or whatever. Like she is still quite versatile in the sense that like she is the one top tier that can use exposed perks. So I think exposed perks are really fun on her. Like she's probably the best killer for like the Devour build. Like no one else really uses it as well as she does. So Devour build is really, really, really fun. It's like Devour, Thrill, Undying, Haunted. I think is great. But yeah, just exposed perks in general are so fun on her. Starstruck is crazy on her. Awakened Awareness, obviously we've spoken about already, is really good. Nowhere to hide for exactly the same reason. Stealthing is so important. And then just not moving, and then a spirit slaps you because she knows exactly where you are. It's like unhealthy, but it's whatever. It's good on her. And until it gets nerfed, why not use it?
Yeah. I think that there's this. People would tell me this when I would like complain about stuff with Chucky before the nerfs. It's like, well, if it's unhealthy, why do you use it? Because it's there.
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
And the problem is, like, sorry, you're very stuck in this limbo of like it's what Ray was saying. Where like when she first started her win streak, and I was like, why the fuck are you running all of that? And she was like, because I can. And if no one good runs this, then it's never going to get nerfed.
Exactly. It's just like with the scamper thing. It's like I every Chucky player I knew, every decent Chucky player I knew. Let me rephrase that. We're all in agreement. Scamper needed to be changed in some way, shape, or form. Most of us didn't want it completely gone, but we're fine with it being gone. But like people would be like, "Well, why do you use it then?" Because it's there.
Yeah. Like I like if only bad players use this mechanic, you're going to think it's a bad mechanic. You need good players to show you why stupid this mechanic is, for you to like realize why it's so stupid. And it's like if only bad spirits use MDR Amulet, you are never going to get this add-on combo nerfed. good players like me and Ray need to show our surface how boring it is to go against. Otherwise, it's going to stay completely untouched. And then we did get enough in the end, which was quite nice. But yeah, there's like so many things that are like so unhealthy on Spirit that just run anyway. Who cares? You pay for the game. No survivor ever is going to be like, I'm not going to run this brand new park because it's unhealthy. No, like they don't care. They actually don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, it goes for both sides. It's like, just run what you want. Like, don't get me wrong. I might like get a little like pissy a little bit if I see a team running 4 brand new parts and gen rushing me to all hell as my small, slow killer. But you know what? You have the option, bring it. Like, I'm not going to get too upset about it.
Yeah, I do find it funny that like people will like kind of pride themselves in like, I'm like so cool. I don't run all this like unhealthy stuff. I play for fun, and then as soon as they go against a team that doesn't share their mentality, they get really angry. I'm like, fine, if you want me to run like 4 slowdown nurse, then I will. And it's like, no, just play what you want, and either don't fucking complain or run better shit. Like the shit's in the game to run for a reason.
I mean, I always feel bad whenever I say like I don't camp or tunnel most of the time. I've actually kind of changed my mentality a bit on that. But I hope whenever I do say that, I don't come across as like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm trying to be like I'm better than everybody else because I don't do it. Now I don't do it because I don't find it fun, not because I don't think it's effective. I could do it, and I understand why people do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things. I think it's a mentality that people just misconstrued or use as a defense for just themselves sometimes, and it's just
like rule for thee, not for me.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like whenever I'm like some people will send me like gameplays for Chucky's to review, and I'm like, yeah, you should have camped this guy. Or like you should have tunneled this guy. And they're like, but you don't. Yeah, because I don't want to. Like I'm not out here trying to win every match like all the time. But if you're sending me a match review, huh?
No, I was gonna say that's the thing. Like I've got 6,000 hours in this game. I don't need to win every single game. But the difference is you are new. You want to win. Therefore, like just tunnel the guy out. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's the same thing with builds. It's like, I'll recommend NOED on some killers, and people are like, but you don't ever run NOED. Yeah, because I don't want to. But if you want to win, bring NOED. Like, it's a weird dichotomy with it that I think is somehow getting worse. And I really, once again, community issues are a hard thing to fix, I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lethal Barbecue, is it just because Lethal Barbecue, I would assume, is just because, it's very good on Spirit. You start with your power, don't you?
Yeah.
It must be nice.
I find it crazy that you don't. Like, I think that's so funny.
So you start with your power, so you can obviously you're one of the killers that can get the most use out of Lethal Pursuer.
Yeah.
And then Barbecue and Chili, I mean, once again, with how fast Spirit can be, get very good use out of it. But I often bring those 2 perks on a lot of killers, even if they can't make good use out of it, just because it's a very good, I mean, no offense when I say this, a very good brain off build.
Oh no, it is. It like 100% is. I like the fact that like I hook someone, I know exactly where to go next. And I think like I specifically like it on Spirit because I really like when I have Barbecue up, people will stealth behind rocks, and I really like finding like stealthy people, like really like healthy, quiet, like Iron Will or whatever. I love like finding people out like that. So Barbecue's like really nice for that. But it's massively a brain off thing. I don't like people would do build requests and they went for Barbecue on it. And I hook someone, I'm like, what the fuck do I do now?
It's just a really nice like even with Lethal, I bring Lethal a lot on killers just because, like, don't get me wrong, Corrupt is technically better, but Lethal is just like, oh, I can just start playing the game. Like, there's not that like 30 seconds to 45 seconds of me trying to find the first person, you know?
Yeah, right. I hate that because that you look for one gen and then you don't look hard enough because I hate trying to find people who are like, oh, I wonder what rock they're behind. I don't care. If I can't see them, I don't care. I'm going away. And then you make an entire loop in that, you're like, I can't find anyone. And then the first gen that you check, they've popped. And like you're starting the match on 4 gens instead of 5.
Of course, then you go against the 4 distortion squad, and then you're like, oh, Well,
I hate it so much. I was running Ultimate Weapon for like the longest time when Distortion was in its peak.
I listen. I don't want to make this all about a distortion nerf. At the very least, can distortion not work on lethal? At the very least, can
just start on no tokens whatsoever. That would be wonderful.
That would be
amazing.
amazing.
And then you can't get any tokens for us of the game as well. That is the perfect distortion rework.
Have you? I mean, you see my Twitter sometimes, I'm sure. Have you seen my suggestion for how to change distortion?
I have not, no.
I think it should go up to 4. I think you should start the match with 4 stacks. You shouldn't be able to use a stack for the first 30 seconds of the match, and you only regain all of your stacks when you're unhooked.
Maybe. I think I'm not. I don't like the idea of blocking auras anyway. However, I feel like it's a necessary evil because you have things like C21 on Blight and like Rat Poison on Chucky, I think it is, where you can like see auras during like I think I don't know, so stupid.
It is.
And then you get like nowhere to hide and like awakened awareness. I think like, it's a necessary evil against things like that. So like I feel like once you look at distortion, you also need to look at why people are running distortion. And if they're doing it because they want to hide all game, I don't care, fuck them. But if they genuinely are like, I'm really bored of nurses bringing Learys and then being tagged out of nowhere by like one blinked and then I'm dead in 2 seconds because they saw my aura and could just blink on it, then there's a perfect reason to run distortion. And I don't think that the perk in the first place, nowhere to hide, should exist. I think it's stupid. Yeah, I don't. We are like having a bit of a diversion here, but I don't like the reason why people run distortion because I'm like so bad. Sorry, my ADHD like is like really peaking. I've been talking like nonstop for like an hour and a half. What am I trying to say? I think the distortion is a bad perk, but also a necessary evil because we already have bad, unhealthy auras for killers. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
Yeah, I think distortion. I definitely agree that it is a necessary evil to a degree. The idea with the change I was proposing was mostly because it still lets it do that, but not forever. I think that's my biggest issue with it. Because unless your killer can gain undetectable somehow, they pretty much just get the stacks back for basically ever. That's my biggest issue with it.
Yeah.
I think 8 aura blocks would be more than enough.
I don't know. Even then, that's like if 8 aura blocks, that's my lethal barbecue gone for like the entire game.
Yeah, I mean the numbers could be adjusted, but my basic idea is like you will be found, and you can't get the stacks back until after you're found.
Yeah.
That's how I proposed. I've heard some people suggest you get them back from doing gens. That way you're like in a position where you can be found. I've heard people suggest you get them back for unhooking people, so you still have to once again be in a position to be found, so you can't just hide in a corner the whole match.
Getting them back from either unhooking or exclusively being in chase, one of the two, I think is completely perfect.
I don't even like the in chase one because there's still some killers that kind of F's over.
Like who though?
Clown.
Fuck the clown.
Chucky.
Fuck Chucky as well. Oh my god. Are you gonna list any other killer that I hate?
Blight.
Fuck the Blight. You know, I'm so angry about what they've done to Blight. Like 3-4 months ago, you asked me who my favorite killer was. Right? I love the Blight. Blight is my baby. And I hate the Blight now. He is so ugly.
At least he wasn't in this patch notes this time.
No, he should have been in the patch notes. He should have been like, we decided to go back on everything we've done in the past 4 months. I'm really sorry, Blight mains, have your killer back. Like, yay, thank you.
They're not going to do that. I think his play rate actually went up since the changes.
I know. And it's always the horrible, manky UK Blights that like bleed you out. Hate UK Blight players.
As much as it's one of those things where I think sometimes we're in that bubble we're in, but the Blight changes actually made him better for most players.
Yeah, I think the issue is with Hogtelic is that like we are talking about a completely different killer. But like it made him like it made his skill floor a lot more accessible than it needed to be.
Yeah.
I could play Blight very well just because Hogtech made loops like I didn't have to think with loops. I just would look down and I'd slide past whatever was in my way, and I don't think that's like that's not healthy.
I still suck with Blight, but playing him after the changes, I actually don't mind playing him. I used to fucking despise playing Blight. So I'm in like the I get why they did it. I still don't think they should have camp, if that makes any sense. But yeah. So back to Spirit.
Yes.
Well, technically this isn't even going to be Spirit. The next question is state of the game. So we've been very, what's the word? Critical of the game over the past hour or so. However, I personally, and I'd love to hear your overall thoughts, but personally, I think the game is actually in an okay spot right now, with exceptions. But
my only exception is the fact that like it's very buggy. I think if you like ignore the bugs, if the fact that like people are dying during the event for making a flashlight save, and the fact that I can't play my killer, I think the game is actually completely fine. I have basically no issue with the game.
At least that bug's funny.
It is so fucking stupid. Actually, like every single time I see a Twitter clip, I like piss myself laughing. I don't know. I think the game is in a good spot right now. I think like moving forward as well, I think they've got like some really exciting things like Lara Croft is coming out at the same time I get a Spirit Tome. I don't think she should get a Spirit Tome, but I get a nice new Spirit outfit, and people are going to be playing Spirit more because they had to do her challenges. Iron Ball's coming back. Lara Croft is coming. Like that. This is brilliant for me. Like that's great. And then like just the roadmap in general is really, really good, and I don't have any qualms with any of the perks I'm in either.
Spirit's the next tome? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh my god, did I spoil it? I'm really sorry.
This won't be out for a couple weeks, so you're fine. But
yeah, it's like in 16. You can edit that out if you want me to like not spoil it.
No, like I said, this will be out in a couple weeks. It's fine. No one's yeah. Well, don't get me started on leaks though. Like I knew who this survivor was since Anniversary, because doing these as much as I have, I've kind of made some friends in the background of behaviors development. So I've been trying my hardest not to spoil who it was.
Yeah. Oh my god, you can't avoid spoilers. I like teasers. I think it's really fun. Like I'm like this is giving me like hype for like next kind of like season. I think it's gonna be really, really exciting. So like the spoiler in this sense has like done well for me. I'm very sorry for spoiling the killer for you though. I feel really bad. I forgot it was still a leak.
It's a tome. I'm not like that worried about it. You're fine.
Okay, that's all right then.
Yeah, it'd be another like if you told me Dracula's power. That would be another thing.
Oh yeah, no, I have no idea. Like anything to a Cosmania at all. To be fair,
I definitely don't know what it is at all. Anyways, I all I told people about Laura was because I tried my best not to give it away. All I told people when they asked me if I knew was, I know who it is, and I can't say. All I will say is a lot of people are going to hate it. And boy, was I correct.
That makes me really... I can't believe people are like mad about Laura being introduced. Like she is like the original survivor. Hello.
People were mad about Alan Wake. That's how I knew people were going to be mad about this one.
To be fair, Alan Wake fans did not help themselves. They are all assholes on Twitter.
The only thing I kept telling people was the flashlight mechanic of Dead by Daylight was inspired by Alan Wake. If you don't think he fits, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think ironically, as the game has opened up more and become more diverse as far as like who's like what and who is allowed in the game, people have somehow gotten more gatekeepy with what is allowed.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't know. I think the problem is like I'm gonna sound like really elitist here, but when you end up with collabs like this, you end up with a lot of like new gen players who like just complain and want everything their way, and they have always been a thing. But this game's like only getting like bigger. And like it's like even like something like really minor. Like there was a Twitter clip of K41. I can never remember his name. Listen, but he hit this like really cool Wesker clip, which obviously was a bug. But anyone who's like played this game for ages thinks, oh my god, that's insane. But all these new gen players are like, oh my god, you're bug abusing. This is disgusting. And it's like games would be dead without bugs. Like Apex, if they removed tap strafe, Apex would be dead. No one would play Apex.
Well, I mean, there was a time in Apex when they removed what was it? The when you're sliding, you can like punch to like increase your speed.
Punch boosting, I miss it so much. Like punch boosting was so fun. Everyone wants punch boosting back. Stop removing like unintended mechanics because they're bugs.
Overwatch is also huge on that. I remember when Overwatch first came out and I got rid of like Genji's melee tech. People were so mad. The thing with those things, and I said this before, I'm fine with them. I just wish devs would embrace them and make them actual mechanics rather than getting rid of them.
Well, that's what Apex are doing at the minute. Like a lot of the time, like they'll remove the things that like are too like over the top. But like they're like you'll see in like Apex trailers at the minute. They're like doing like 180 tap strafes of jump pads. They never have ever before. All Apex trailers looked like the most bottiest 70 FOV console gameplay you've ever seen. And one of them just did a fucking mantle jump, and I was like, oh my god, that's crazy! Like that's in a trailer. They're happy with this mechanic being in the game.
But once again, though, it's a fine line to ride because for Wesker, for example, like the hug text, I would actually be cool if they just embraced it and made it an actual mechanic and it wasn't a bug. I think
that's cool.
Same with like Blight with hug text. Like as mad as I am as getting rid of them, like I understand why they did. I would have preferred like they somehow made it a mechanic, like that is told to the player and not because the reason they got rid of it was. I would assume they actually have never given the reason, but I would assume it's because one, it was unintended, and two, it made it well, like we mentioned earlier, it was basically two different killers because of it. If you didn't know how to hug tech, you were basically handicapping yourself from playing Blight correctly. And even with like Chucky 180s back when that was a thing, my suggestion has always been, okay, get rid of it on base Chucky, that's fine, but can you make it an add-on at the least? Or something like that, so people still have the choice and the option. Like, they're just trying to simplify the game a little bit just to make it so that it's not just newer players. I think we often talk about newer players as like these delicate beings that need to constantly be catered to. It's honestly just the average player. You know, the people who come home and play maybe an hour or two every night or every other night with their buddies. That's who they're trying to cater to, which, I mean, that's where the money comes from, so I can't blame them. I just wish they would go a little bit more into the hardcore side and help them out more. And not just Dead by Daylight, but every game. Once again, I think it's a big problem in the industry as a whole.
I think there's a very big issue with like multiplayer games like have longevity. Like they strive for like you need like longevity, you need like lots of skill expression, you need lots of like things to do, and when you remove those things to do, you end up with a very stale game where like I feel like there's certain characters that you can only do like so much on, and I don't understand why the characters that you can do loads on, why removing the things that you can like do on them. We should be adding more cool things to do to the crappy characters, not the other way around. Yeah,
and I think I always bring up rocket jumping as an example. Before, like, everyone knows rocket jumping. But most everyone does. But everyone knows rocket jumping. It's a core mechanic in most video games. That was a bug.
Yeah.
That was an exploit, like, years ago, because of how the Quake engine worked.
Yeah.
But the developers were like, you know what? Everyone's doing this. This is a cool thing. Let's make it a thing. So they did.
Rocket jumping is like so important in like so many games, like TF2. Like Farah would be dead if she didn't have rocket jumping, and I just love the fact that like they just included it to be a feature. I think it's really fun.
I mean, even in in Team TF2, like Soldier, that character is designed around rocket jumping.
Yeah, if you cannot rocket jump with Soldier, you don't have the character.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, you could just sit in the back and just shoot rockets all day, but still.
Which is obviously so fun because Thorough Meta is incredible. I love being spammed from the back line. It's so creative.
I haven't played Overwatch in like a year, and I've been hearing horror stories so far.
I'm a Thorough main, and I'm like a dive Thorough main. Like, I think it's very fun playing dive Thorough. And currently, at the minute, we have poke Thorough meta, which is where you just sit in the backline, you hover, and you just spam rockets into the backline so they cannot push payload. And it is so boring. You just sit uncontested spamming rockets, and it's the worst way of playing her. And it's the meta at the minute, and I hate it.
Yeah, and I mean, just Dead by Daylight definitely has a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like the Huntress buff that no one asked for, that I still don't understand why they did.
I hate the character so much.
Oh! You're a Huntress hater?
I am a massive fucking Huntress anti. I despise that killer so much.
I am so glad, and I'm not saying you just recently came to this, but I'm so glad I'm seeing more Huntress hates as of late.
I like Trickster. That's a really hot take. But
Huntress, like, I don't know what it is about playing against her. I just don't like it.
It's just, I hate the holding Harry.
The what?
And I hate the fact that, like, holding Harry. They just hold their hands over you the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know. I like the fact that, like, the breaking line of sight and like trying to weave between trees to break like line of sight, I think is really fun. Which is why I like Trickster, because he doesn't have the whole like I'm holding an entire health state over your head kind of threat.
Yeah, I mean, like I do the same thing on Deathslinger to a degree. I zone a lot with Deathslinger. One, I think it's part. I think that was intentional. I think it's part of his kit. And two, if a Deathslinger zones you and shoots, you can dodge it a lot easier than you can a Huntress hatchet. If a Huntress is just running you down with a hatchet, like you could try to dodge it, but if they know what they're doing, you're not dodging that.
No. But like DBD characters don't move fast enough. Their acceleration isn't high enough.
Mm-hmm.
Their hitboxes are too big for it to be even like warrantly dodgeable.
Yeah, it's just funny to see Huntress like I said. Everyone used to say, "Oh, she's the perfect killer," and I've noticed over the past like 3 months or so, people are changing their minds.
I think like Demo is the perfect killer, but I think no killer should be weaker than Demo.
I actually disagree with Demo being. I think Demo also has the problem with zoning.
Yeah, but it's not that bad. I think zoning is important. Sadly, I don't like it.
Oh yeah. No. Don't get me wrong. I think zoning is very important. I think it's just something people don't like because it takes control away.
Yeah, true. I get that.
It's the same reason people don't like CC in most games. It's just anything that takes away your control or agency as a player is just not something people enjoy. Understandably so.
It's really boring.
But you know, I mean, like Chucky has zoning. You could argue Spirit technically has zoning. Like most of the cast has zoning of some form. If not zoning, I mean, like Clown doesn't really have quote zoning. He has corralling, which is a little different.
Yeah.
But even then, like zoning is a very important thing, and like I do think it should be addressed in some way, shape, or form. Like maybe Huntress can't infinitely hold her hatchet, but things like that. Because I mean, or maybe she shouldn't be as fast when she's holding it. I don't know. But you know, the state of the game, though, I think like the devs are definitely moving in a better direction than they were a couple years ago. I know there once again, there's always exceptions and the cough twins rework, but you know, overall, I think they're doing a very good job of looking at perks that need to be changed. Whether or not they're doing it fast enough is a whole other discussion, but they're doing it, and I think that's more than they were doing before.
It feels like they're listening as well, which I like. Like there's like feedback. Like as soon as the entirety of Twitter was like, please don't make bots replace like Alt F4s. And within an hour, they already said it's not going live. Don't worry. And like that's just so nice to hear. I think that my biggest issue actually with the state of the game in the minute is the way they deal with the kill switch, because Trickster is literally like a threat to life at the minute.
Yeah.
And they just refuse to kill switch him, and it's so fucking stupid. There are so many things that like just kill switch them. Like it's so easy. It's a switch. You turn it on and off, and they just don't do it. I don't get it.
My theory on why they're not doing it, at least as of now, I have a feeling that he's going to get kill switched on Wednesday.
Why?
Because the anniversary event's over.
Why would they wait till the anniversary event's over, though?
Well, okay, here's my theory.
Mm-hmm.
Trickster sells skins, and the person playing them doesn't know about the issue.
Okay, true.
That's my theory. And I think they're waiting for anniversary to be over because that's when the player base will drop again.
I don't know. It's a literal threat to life.
No, don't get me wrong. They should kill switch him. I'm not saying they shouldn't.
No, I'm not saying you're defending them.
Yeah,
I'm saying like I know that should just never be like there should never be a theory because he should just be kill switched.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In a less serious one, like Decisive Strike being bugged right now, I think it should be kill switched as well.
Like just kill switch things that are bugged, fix them, reintroduce them. It's not hard.
And once again, I do think the reason they're not doing that with anything at the moment is because of anniversary.
Yeah.
Which once again, it's sad, and like they shouldn't be not doing it, but I really do think that's the only reason.
But you say that they didn't like Spirit should have been kill switched for a month, where she had literally no phase audio, and they didn't. They should have kill switched Merciless Storm and Sloppy Butcher and Potential Energy, and they just don't. And it's my biggest qualm with them at the minute because I don't understand why they insist on just not touching kill switch. I think it's so stupid.
Yeah, I mean they kill switch Knight for like what, a month?
And it's like
last December.
Why Knight and Nurse but not Spirit? It doesn't make sense to me.
For Knight, once again, like this is me being super cynical, but my only guess is just because his play rate was so low, they didn't think it mattered.
But Nurse's play rate was higher than Spirit's, and they kill switch her. Like I cannot every single time I try and think of reason as to why they'd kill switch one thing and not another.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot think of it because there is always a reason that will contradict it, and it's so stupid.
That is true.
That's my biggest issue. I think the game at the minute is going in a very good direction. They're listening, they're making changes that people want, but yeah, the kill switch is just a massive issue at the minute. And when you have someone who is a threat to life like Trickster, and you're not kill switching him, I think that just is a really, really, really poor reflection on who you are as a dev team.
At the very least, if they don't want to kill switch Trickster, like just a warning message at the beginning of when you open the game. Like I don't understand why they won't at least do that.
The add-ons. It's an add-on combo that does it. You just like it's two add-ons that like hardly anyone uses.
What are they?
I can't remember, and it's probably a good idea that I don't remember.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't want to.
But I'm just aware that it's two add-ons to be like. Trickster Main told me it was two add-ons that hardly anyone uses because they didn't tell me themselves. Obviously for obvious reasons. But like I have no idea what it does. I just know that it's like a strobing issue, and like that's dangerous. That's really dangerous.
Yeah, I had a friend who was telling me like they were trying to get better at Trickster and playing him, and I told them about the epilepsy thing, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't know that was happening," because they're not on Twitter.
No, that's the thing. Like if you're not on Twitter, there are so many things that you just don't know about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like while I agree the devs have been like better about speaking out about the game, it's like they don't really do it in the game though.
No.
Their
communication is their communication in game is terrible. For a game that has a notice board, they do not use their notice board often.
To be fair,
like nowhere near as much as they should do.
To be fair, that's most games.
True.
Have you ever played Dota before?
No, I haven't. I've heard of it, but no.
So in Dota, whenever you scroll over a character, you can actually see every patch note for that character.
See, that's cool.
I like really, really wish more games would do stuff like that, especially Dead by Daylight. Yeah. Because I was playing the other day and someone was confused. Someone was confused about why I wasn't like scampering under pallets, and I was like, they got rid of that like 2 months ago. Like, what? I didn't know that. So yeah,
people will come into my stream sometimes and be like, "Oh, can people not like hear you phasing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they can." They're just like if I go against someone who's bad and doesn't know what I'm doing, they're like, "Oh, can they not hear you phasing anymore? I thought they changed that." I was like, "No, they did." And I don't know. There's just like so many things that people ask. I'm like, that is not in the game anymore, by the way. Like, oh, why aren't you using Strider? Does it not count to Iron Bull? I'm like, no. Like that was changed like years and years and years ago to like deal with Striders for a bit. Like literal years ago, 3 whole years ago, by the way, and you're still asking this question.
Yeah, it's just communication to people who just aren't on the social medias. It's just, God, I sounded like a boomer saying that. I'm old, not that old.
But that's the thing. Like, some people aren't using. You cannot rely on your social media presence to be informing people about really serious issues. Like, not everyone is on Twitter for a very good fucking reason.
But most people aren't. And once I've told people this. Like they've done the studies. It's like I think it's 10% of any video game player base is online looking at guides, looking on Twitter, looking on the forums. It's like 10%. Yeah, that's it.
I think it might be slightly higher for DVD because I get like a lot of people who are like, "Oh my god, hi Carol," and I'm like, "Oh my god, hi, how are you?" And like, no one will call me Carol unless they know me from Twitter.
Fair enough. DVD is definitely a different beast, but in general, though, I mean, like,
most games are like, it's so low. I find that crazy as well. Like, I'm always watching videos on games. I think it's so fun.
Once again, it's one of those things. It's we're in this space way more, so we just assume that everyone is. It just seems natural, but you know, it's not the case. It's the same thing with every. It's even like League of Legends, like the most popular video game in the world. It's like only 10% of the player base watches like videos on it.
Yeah, that's insane to me.
Most people just play the game. That's it. They live their lives. They do what they do. They play the game for an hour or two, and that's it. They never touch it. They never talk about it. It's just it is weird to think about. A little existential sometimes, but but yeah, I do think with the exceptions of the one fucking I'm still trying to comprehend it in my head why they haven't kill switched them. But
yeah, it's so dumb.
Like I do think the game is going in a much better direction than it was. New game modes have been great.
2v8 coming is like something that people have been asking for ages and ages. I think it'll be shit.
So do I. I think 2v8. I think it's one of those things that sounds good until we actually play it and people are going to realize how fucking bad it is.
You're going to absolutely love Legion and Oni and Plague and Spirit. It's going to be so interesting.
You know, it's funny. They said it's only the first 5 characters, but the moment Deathslinger gets introduced to that mode...
you're gonna hate it. Deathslinger Bubba, that's gonna be so fun, isn't it? Oh my god, I bet you can't wait for Deathslinger Bubba.
Deathslinger, anyone. Deathslinger, if they bring in every killer in the 2v8, I am predicting it now. Deathslinger will be the meta killer combined with every other killer in the game.
I think Spirit will be nuts, because going against one Spirit, you're allowed to stealth. You can't stealth in the middle of a chase when someone else is chasing you, so you are always going to have to be running.
Oh, Spirit Doctor?
Spirit anyone. I think Spirit Plague is going to be crazy, because then Iron Bull is completely countered.
Spirit Legion? Literally any killer that can give the Spirit information?
Yeah, like literally like anyone.
Even if you play like
as well, so like when Legion procs his power, and like if they don't, because the problem is it's like 2v8 already exists. It already exists on private servers. It's just very, very, very buggy. So until you like I think loads of bugs are going to be present, and there's just certain Phoenix. But like Legion, when he pops his power and you see Killer Instinct, will Spirit be able to see the same Killer Instinct? Because on what do you call it? On the private server, sorry, she can. It works together, and it's disgusting.
I would hope not. I would assume that they would still require some communication in that way, but maybe that's just a me thing. I mean, even like twins, like if you run like radar twins with Spirit, like if all the twins player is doing is just being like Spirit's eyes the whole time, like there's some combos that are going to be insane, and I really do think people are. Once again, it's a cool idea. I love it that they're trying it at the least, but I do think people are going to realize how dumb of a game mode it is.
No, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be fun. I like the idea that I can play killer with my boyfriend. I think it's gonna be really fun. But it's not gonna be the greatest in the whole world. I can't lie.
Yeah, even like Lights Out. Like I think Lights Out is probably the worst one they did. Even then,
Lights Out was so poo poo.
I thought it had some cool ideas though. I like the HUD being hidden.
Like if they had a mode where the HUD, like if it was basically everything to do with lights out except the undetectable
mhm.
and the darkness, I think it'd be great. The
Yeah.
fact that you were going against like no perks and no HUD and it was just like pure game sense,
I,
I think is really fun.
I think there's two modes that should be 100% permanent, and I don't know why they aren't. There should be a no perk, no add-on mode.
Mm.
I think that should definitely be a thing, and I also think there should be the chaos
The chaos
shuffle. Yeah, should
yeah,
also.
I'm so sad that's temporary.
I think both of those modes should be 100% permanent.
Mm.
Um, and at the end of the day, I think some would at that point consider the no perk, no add on, the quote comp mode. But because I really don't think this game needs a ranked mode. I think with how it is, I don't think it would work.
I think if the player base was bigger, it definitely could. I would love the idea of a ranked mode.
I don't even. It's not even a player base size thing for me. It's just I feel like there would have to be so many adjustments to the base game
Yeah.
that it at the end of the day it wouldn't even really be like a proper ranked mode.
Yeah, you need like the problem is like other games with like ranked modes, there's like very little differences between the quick play modes and the ranked modes. With DBD, you need massive differences. You cannot have a Spirit running Mother Door and Blossom in ranked mode.
Right. Yeah. It's not even just add on. It's just some killers would just like. And I mean, you could make the argument for like fighting games. It's like, yeah, but people still play like low tier fighters in like ranked
Yeah.
modes. Yeah, that's true, maybe, but Dead by Daylight's a whole different beast because of all the perks, all the add-ons, the
Yeah.
map RNG, what the opponents can bring. It's like, and my other problem with the ranked mode, and someone could I'm sure there's an argument against this, but what reason does a killer have to not play ranked?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I feel like if people eventually get bored of pubs, like I am bored of pubs,
Mm-hmm.
there is no like if I like I will stream and I will play like 3 games sometimes, and then I'll get insanely burnt out because everyone is giving up, which is really really boring. I'm going against like MMR is terrible, and I'll go against like really really bad players. So once like if ranked mode is a thing, and I can consistently play against really really good people, and we can play as sweaty as we want to, I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
And I have no incentive to like really touch pubs again unless I want to run Lethal Barbecue. But I can still run that in ranked. Like there's no stopping me. I just would never. If I want to go against good players, which is what makes DBT fun. I hate going against bad players.
Mm-hmm.
Going against good players who aren't bringing bullshit is like the best way to play this game.
Yeah.
And when you like once you have that, there's like no reason to touch pubs again.
Yeah, I brought this point up with people. People can complain about Chucky all they want, but I go against people who know exactly how to play against him. It is both the most satisfying and the most infuriating.
Yeah.
I was playing.
Aaron will come into stream sometimes and be like, "Do you want a 1v1 Spirit?" And it's like I have never played against someone who knows so perfectly what to do against Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's very impressive. And it's like frustrating in the sense that like fuck, I just want to catch you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so nice. I love it. And you just never get that in pubs. The only time I ever get that in pubs is when I bump into Aaron in pubs. That's it.
It's yeah, and once again, my like I said, my point though is like even for like the average like player or someone who's like bad at the game, if there was a ranked mode, once again, in theory, it would have better matchmaking than the pubs.
Yeah.
So why
definitely.
would they play pubs as a killer? I can see it for why Survivor, but why would killer players ever play pubs again?
I mean there is a large portion of the player base that wouldn't like ranked because they do enjoy like that. Like no one can deny that there is a large portion of the killer player base that like playing killer like an arsehole against people that cannot deal with it. And I do think that is probably what pubs is just going to be full of. Just people bringing the most stacked shit ever, and that's all pubs is going to be if they introduce ranked mode, which is why I'm worried about it.
Yeah, but okay, so if ranked becomes that, right? So if we add in ranked and ranked would pretty much be everyone trying to bring the best stuff. Wouldn't even that person prefer to go into ranked because if they are losing a lot doing that on purpose or not, wouldn't the matchmaking in theory be better so they would go against people they could more easily do that against?
I mean, maybe, but the problem is like I feel like a lot of what makes a team good is what perks they're bringing, which is like I've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of the time you can end up with like you feel like you're fighting perks, and if these people are going into ranks, they can't. Like, obviously, they're going to be bringing the best stuff, but like in pubs, a lot of the time they just don't bring the best stuff.
Mm.
And there's a massive discrepancy in a blight that brings double eerie 4 slowdowns, versus like like even this match here, you'll see the endgame screen. There's people bringing like boil over for the fun of it,
mm-hmm.
and it's like they are so much obviously want to go against these people more than they are like a ranked team, because the ranked team is like coordinated. They'll probably like try and stack. Voice comms will probably be added if they ever do ranked. They are going to find it tough to get. Like even at the worst level, they're going to find it harder.
But yeah, but that's my point though. At the worst level, wouldn't people still be bringing like boil over and stuff for whatever reason? Because they're down at the worst level for a reason, right?
I mean, I guess so. I don't know. I'm like very on the fence about like why so and so would play so and so mode, because I feel like you get like a lot of the time as well. Like this is like an Overwatch thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like obviously I play Pharah, and you can't play a lot of characters versus Pharah, so you need to counterpick. Mm. I will get 5-man counterpicked in quick play miles more than I do in comp. In comp, people will like one trick someone, and they want to one trick that person to the highest rank.
Right.
So I have like a lot more opportunity to like someone one tricks Mei. It's going to be a lot easier for me to go against a one trick Mei than it is someone who then counter swaps to Echo.
Mm.
So like quick play ends up being the far sweatier mode in my opinion, versus like high level ranked is obviously very sweaty, but like mid to low level ranked, like if like I'm talking like gold, plat, diamond, is like no one really cares. And that mode, people just like want to play their character, and they don't like the idea of having to counterpick.
Mm.
So like quick play ends up being the the really really sweaty mode where people like get really mad. And counterpick you. Sorry, my ADHD is like actually like really, really, really peaking. I'm really sorry.
No, you're good. Well, once again, like I think it's with the general complications with ranked, like adding a ranked mode in this game in general. Of like we'd have to adjust how the game plays and overall. Would maps still be random? Would certain maps like be in rotation? Would perks be allowed? Would perks have to be nerfed specifically for ranked? Would some
like you need like a whole team, like a committee of people who will do the ranked balancing for like each, like what DVD League do right now, but you need to pay them for it as well. Which is the thing. And I don't trust the Behavior's own team currently with the decisions that they make. Sometimes would be able to do that by themselves without. You know, like a team of people who have sunk thousands and thousands of hours into the game, and even then, you end up with people who like Wispy said that Spirit Fury needs a buff, and it's like how do you make the decision over who gets to decide what perk gets like allowed and not allowed in ranked?
Yeah, and you know, and nothing. This isn't anything against you or anyone in the Dead by Daylight community, but a lot of times we try to balance things around what's fun. And which is, in my opinion, one of the most difficult things to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely subjective. Like, I love going against Spirit. A lot of people don't. Whose opinion are you going to take?
Right. And even with like perks and such, it's like, personally, I and I didn't really say it, but like I find going up against Ku fun.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we disagree on that. I think going against Ku is so insanely boring. I think it's a funny animation on someone like Bubba or Doctor or Spirit, but it still doesn't detract from the fact that it's boring. So who decides whether or not Ku is allowed?
Right. And same with like Haunted Grounds. We had a little bit of a disagreement on that. But it's like we're just two people, not you know, an entire player base.
Yeah.
That you would have to try to appease. And that's why I always say I never envy any balanced team for any video game, but especially Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, DVD's balance is like really hard to deal with and fine tune.
Yeah, and I mean you also have to take into account specific killers that can take advantage of certain things, or like I think Awakened Awareness was another one. It's like it was purposely nerfed the way it was because Nurse before her M2 change could make really good use out of it. And now Spirit can kind of make good use out of it. So it's like do we purposely nerf these perks because two characters are kind of pipelining them, or do we just let them be strong so other killers can use them as well?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very difficult to like when you have such discrepancy between Nurse and Hag, who is like the best and the worst killer in the game. You can't like. It's very difficult to decide what certain perks should be doing.
It's funny you bring up Nurse and Hag. It's because the more I think about it, those two actually can use at least when Nurse could M1, they actually had a lot of the perks they ran were actually kind of the same.
I do not understand why people think Hag is a good killer. I think Hag is absolutely terrible. I love Gummy Peach Rings, but Hag is just a shocking killer. She needs a serious look at.
I think Hag's fine. I don't think she's like super S tier or anything, but I think she's fine.
I think she's D tier. I think she is actually
you think
the
she's
worst
D tier?
I think the only killer that comes close to competing with how dogshit she is not Myers, but Freddy. I think Freddy and Hag are D tier, and I think Trapper is the bottom of C tier. Like genuinely.
I would have to look into. I really don't think Hag is that low, but fair enough.
I think when I look at comparing her and Trapper, Trapper is 4.6. Trapper's traps are actually lethal. Hag has to TP to her traps. Hag, you can run through her traps, and she can't TP to all of them. Hag, you can edge her traps if you know the range. You can like tickle the edge of the trap and run away, and she cannot catch up to you because she slows down when she TPs. She's just abysmal. If you're paying attention and you can properly see all of the traps and you know what's going on, she is awful. The only time she is ever good is when you as a survivor is like making a mistake, but you can't balance a killer around how many survivors, like how many mistakes survivors make.
I mean, couldn't you argue that for every killer though?
Yeah, but like you're it's not even like making mistakes. Like sometimes like you just can't not make a mistake against Spirit. She'll put you in a situation where you are in a lose-lose situation. Hag is like, are you asleep? Have you eaten breakfast this morning? Yes, she's shit. Like if you are like concentrating, you're awake, and you're just like if you are like you have to balance killers around playing against a team of survivors that knows what they're doing very efficiently. Because why are you balancing around anything other than that?
I mean, yeah. Once again, I can see the argument. It's just I don't. It's because like I'm maybe I'm thinking of it from like. I think we're thinking of it from two different perspectives because.
Yeah.
I think it's because in my mind it's like how often are you going up against those kinds of players? How many of those players actually are playing the game?
True.
So it's just like with you know I can't I bring this up in every podcast. It's like the idea of did you dodge a hatchet or did she miss?
True.
And which do we balance around?
I mean, she missed.
Did she?
You don't like unless it's like really long range. I think there's a certain range where like it's just not reactable.
Right. But if it was, did you dodge or did she miss?
I mean, it's kind of like the argument with like Faro as well. Like when you hit an air shot, right? You can't predict exactly where they're going to be all the time. You can't have 100% accuracy on Faro. You can't have 100% accuracy on like Huntress. But it's much easier. The flight speed is a lot faster, and you can't move as a survivor that fast either.
But it's one of those things where it's like, so how much discrepancy do we take into account for mistakes that the survivor or the killer makes, as far as like trying to balance things?
You obviously can do both, but like you really need to like. I don't know, you just have to balance around the top level. If you balance around anything lower. Then, I mean, first of all, why are people at the lower level complaining? Because you don't play the game enough. You don't care. You're supposed to not care. This is a party game for you, and you play it like half an hour on the weekends with your friends. Shut up. But when you look at like if someone who's like really good, like I'm like really good at Spirit. If you balance Spirit around people who are bad at Spirit, my Spirit is going to be absolutely fucking unbearable to go against. You cannot balance the game around bad players.
But
obviously, it needs to cater to them in a way.
But
you can't.
but my argument there would be, wouldn't that be your reward for being good at Spirit?
No, because you can't my Spirit is already very, very, very difficult to go against. That's kind of the point.
Mm-hmm.
If you end up like she is difficult for a newer player to play. Like if I give like a baby Spirit, they're gonna really fucking struggle with her because they have no idea what the sounds are. It's a completely different killer to play than it is with any other killer.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to like buff her in a meaningful way to make her more accessible for like lower skilled players, you end up making her a monster on someone who is good and has sunk in the hours. It's like Nurse. You can't make Nurse easier. I do, in my humble opinion, think Nurse is like a lot harder to make out than a lot harder to play than the general player both make out, because a lot of the time they are playing Nurse against banned players. But Nurse is very difficult for a new player to play against and to play. So if you buff her to make her easier to play, you end up like the monster nurses, which aren't a lot of them, don't get me wrong, but the monster nurses are like going to be an absolute fucking nightmare to go against.
Yeah, and once I think because I do agree to an extent that we do need to balance from the top, with some things, but I don't think everything needs to be balanced from the top.
I think it should be everything should be balanced looking at the top level, but it should cater to people who do play the game more casually. I think it's very important to look at like you balance things for the top, but how is this going to like
affect the bottom?
Affect the bottom.
Yeah,
because like you cannot expect like it is like at the end of the day, a video game is a hobby, and it is completely up to a person how they decide to take that hobby. I have taken it obviously very seriously. I really love this game. I'm like trying to make a so and so like living for myself playing Spirit, and it's working to an extent. You know, it's great, but not everyone has that kind of passion for just the whole game in general. Like a lot of the people I will go against are just pissing around in a voice call with their friends, and you can't completely ignore that kind of person because it makes them a majority of the player base. But also at the same time, you can't balance around them, and you can't catch them because I mean, look at Made for This. Like most of the player base were terrible with Made for This, but once you give Made for This to a good player, you cannot catch them.
No,
and it ends up being like really, really boring because also you have to look at like matchmaking isn't good. So these people who the people who are like really, really good are going against people who aren't very good because that's just how matchmaking works. So if you're balancing around the people who aren't very good, you also have to take into account how it feels to go against someone much better than you with the kind of stuff that you balance around them for. And that's like a really wordy way of saying, I know what I'm trying to say, but like if you buff Spirit to make her easier for newer players to play, then the newer players who are going against my buffed Spirit are going to absolutely hate it, and you have to also balance around that. Part of balancing the game around newer players is looking at how horrible it is for those newer players to go against someone who's very good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It's something I've seen over the years. I bring up League a lot, but like Akali was a very good example of this in League of Legends, where the good players were so good with her. She was the most picked and highest win rate character in the game for like 6 months. But the bad players were so bad with her that her win rate was almost in the negatives.
Yeah.
So it's
exactly like Nurse. Yeah, Nurse is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, it was a very hard thing for League to try and balance. Because they didn't want to nerf her, because if they nerfed her, well, the people who are already bad with her are going to be even worse.
Yeah.
But if they buff her, for the low end players, then the top end players would have a field day.
Yeah.
I forgot what they ended up doing, but I think they decided to just nerf her.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like you have to balance around the top level because like. I don't know, they're people that take the game the most seriously, for starters. But also, if you make things too accessible, you end up making the top level exponentially more irritating to face than they already are for people who are new. So in balancing for the top level, you are also pseudo-balancing for the lower level because you're making it less frustrating to go against matchmaking issues. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think really what this comes down to, and why the argument is so hard to have sometimes, is I think matchmaking is the bigger problem. Because, you know, sometimes I'll play against people who very clearly have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
They don't know tells. They are not holding, like, the moment I have someone who, like, and this is such a small, obvious thing. The moment I see someone not holding a check spot when I'm playing Chucky, it's night and day.
Yeah.
That is, it's, once again, it's such a small thing that seems obvious to, like, us, but it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know how to play around it if someone is holding a check spot, but, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, because of how matchmaking is in this game, sometimes I'll get players that know what they're doing and some that don't. And it's very, I feel like because of that, it's very difficult to even talk about balancing at the top end a lot of the times. It's because, like, how does behavior even get that data? Because if MMR is only based on what we've been told, where it's kills and escapes, I mean, that doesn't even really tell half the story. Because you need a lot more data. It's like, okay, well, how fast were they downing people? What maps were they doing it on? Which loops were they at? What perks were they running? What add-ons were they running?
There's so many things you need to look at when it comes to balancing things. It's like very difficult.
Yeah, even things that, like, they can't even really realistically track. Like, what was the DPI on their mouse?
Yeah.
Were they using filters? What kind of headphones were they wearing for Spirit, for example? Like,
yeah.
Also, that is not me being one of those people who's like, headphones are actually cheating. I have seen.
I was actually going to talk about when that question comes up. I would like to talk about that, like, a little bit.
Okay. But we'll move on a little bit from state of the game, because we started talking about a lot.
Yeah, we have to talk about, like, a lot of different things for a while now.
Once
I'm
again,
so sorry for your editing.
No, you're good. Welcome. This is what the whole podcast is about. I mentioned this in every single one. It's what it's about. We're just here talking. Spirit's the main focal point, but, you know, we're just kind of here talking. Spirit's power level, we mentioned a little bit earlier. I think we're pretty much in agreement that she's top 3 at the least.
Yeah, I personally think she's in 4th spot. I think she is a bit better than Chucky and a bit worse than Blight, but she is a decent chunk worse than Spirit and than Nurse. And Billy.
I don't know what the general consensus is right now, but I actually don't think Chucky's top 5 anymore.
I think probably I don't currently play the game enough because I'm taking a very big break. But from what I've seen, like, I trust, like, I have, like, certain people that I trust the opinion of massively. And from what they've said, like Chucky PTB is obviously going to be chucked down quite a few tiers. But Chucky's recharge at the minute, like, I mean, I'll bring up what did one of my friends Vez is like, with, like, and like, it knows everything.
I don't even think the PTB is going to knock him down that much, honestly.
But basically, she said he has stealth, chuck spots, blight level mobility, better than blight recharge, stronger than blight at outplaying chase, like, a tiles in chase power. All in exchange for him not having a pallet break.
I would disagree with the stealth part, but the rest of it, I would agree with.
The stealth is crazy.
He has a directional laugh.
But, like,
pinpoint directional laugh.
Yeah, but that's like, he's not laughing all of the time. After he laughs, that's it. He's quiet.
No, he laughs the whole time.
Does he?
Yes, it's every 0.25 seconds. I've tested it.
I need to go and instruct him more. Yeah, I fucking hate that killer so much. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. A lot of people do. I understand why. But no, when he's undetectable for any reason, he laughs every 0.25 seconds. Pinpoint, pinpoint directional.
I will.
That's why whenever, like, I'm holding, like, a chuck spot around a corner, I don't go undetectable. I just hide my red stain, because if you go undetectable, they know where you are.
Oh, okay.
It's also like I prefer low terror radius and oblivious on him.
Yeah.
Because they don't give it away. Yeah, if you're within 12.5 meters of Chucky while he's undetectable, you hear a directional laugh.
Okay, I will keep that in mind next time I go against the cunt.
It's very it's one of those mechanics that's not really explained. Once again, it's just like with his footsteps. Like a lot of people don't even know how those fucking work.
Yeah.
And even like running like mirror shards, people don't know how they work. God, fix that add-on, please. Why does it make the sounds? I don't understand. But yeah, but I think we're in agreement. She's one of the best killers in the game, though, at the very least.
She's very. I mean, if you disagree that Chucky is that strong, then she's very clearly like fourth spot then.
I
slightly worse than Blight.
Yeah, and sorry, I was gonna say, don't get me wrong about Chucky. I do still think he's top 10. Like he's still up there. I just don't think he's as high as a lot of people put him. It's just he's also a hard killer to rate because there's a lot of other factors that go into him that other killers don't have to worry about.
Yeah, true.
The third person camera is a big one. His size is another. Like I've said this before, his worst loops are loops no one ever runs.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and his counterplay has changed since the scamper removal, so that definitely hasn't helped either. But yeah, Spirit's always been up there too. It's just, and I think it's fine that she's as high as she is. I don't think there's any necessary, like I don't think she's as much of a problem as Nurse being as high as she is.
I'm not. I don't hate Nurse. I actually really enjoy going against Nurse on most maps. I really need to like just stick to the topic of Spirit. I think that Spirit is like, I think she's fine where she is. Obviously, like my changes will like bump her down like a few places, but I don't think that like she's in an okay spot. I think her biggest issue at the minute is accessibility. I think she is very, even to able hearing people, she's very fast. She's very unpredictable. It is very difficult going against her.
Well, I mean, even to able hearing people, it's like most people are playing on console, not without headphones.
Yeah.
So like even with my thing with Chucky, where it's like, oh, he has a directional laugh. Most people are playing this shit on a TV.
Yeah.
Like
on the Nintendo Switch through their shitty Joy-Con speakers.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Like as far as like, oh, it's directional. Yeah, but like if you're playing in a way where you can't hear for some reason, or what if you're just playing music while you're playing the game?
Yeah.
Do I think sound should be like a non-factor? No, not at all. But there's definitely ways they could alleviate it.
Yeah, definitely. I do think that like making her accessible would. I don't think it would nerf her too much. I think the fatigue would nerf her a lot more. But it's something that like I really want because I hate short facing.
Well, yeah. Go on.
No, I was going to say like just by design of what she is as a killer, which is very fast and a not specific location. She's a very fast free movement killer who you can't see. She is always going like by design going to be a strong killer.
Yeah, and as far as the fatigue thing is like, to me it's like that's just a nerf to like, I don't want to say bad, but people who miss a lot.
Yeah, people who aren't very good at her, basically.
Yeah, that's all that would say. It's just like with the removal of Scamper. I know I bring it up a lot, but it's like that didn't nerf the good Chuckies at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It buffed the good ones. It nerfed the cringe ones that just scampered all the time. But yeah, and I know you wanted to talk about it. I guess we can bring it up here. The whole headphone debate.
So, I mean, this is like tips for new Spirit players. I don't think that headphones matter anywhere near as much as people say they do. When I first started playing on Spirit, I was on a £20 headset. That was very, very shit in comparison to this one. And even now, my headset's 129. It's very often reduced to about like 60, 70. It's not. And people will sit there and be like, "Oh my god, over £100 for a headset is crazy." It's really, really, really not. I always thought like spending £100, like I was like splashing out. When you look into like the actual like headphone market itself, most decent headphones are like $3,000 to $5,000. It's actually crazy. I don't think you should ever buy a headset just for a game. especially not just for a single character on a game. Like I know a lot of spirits who play like just spirit, and they have brought like 1,200, 2,400 pound headsets
What the
it's crazy. It's crazy. I think it's like, this is going to sound so bitchy, but they're not even that good to warrant that expensive a headset.
I
Um,
my headphones are like $10.
this is what I'm saying. Like the difference between like a $10 headset and then a $50 and then like a $100 headset, obviously is going to be like a big difference. But as soon as you reach the 100, 150 mark on a headset, there's a problem is I'm quite ignorant here. I'm speaking from the experience of I have never in my life put on a pair of headphones more expensive than my own, which is 130, which is just blatantly not expensive for a pair of headphones. Like people will spend more money on a mouse.
Right.
And when you start looking into the runs of like actual expensive headphones, like these are like thousands upon thousands, like 10,000. Like the most expensive headphones in the world are like 60 grand, which is ridiculous. Don't obviously go and buy a 60 grand headset. I really want to try it. It'd be really funny. But basically, what I'm saying is like a lot of you have to put 10 grand deposit down for these headphones. It's insane. But with obviously with your headphones, as long as you have like a decent pair of headphones that are like at least like 80, and it's not even like the price of it that should be like the massive determining factor. It's like as long as like the headphones that I have, they have a button and they do like a pseudo surround sound, and it's brilliant. I love it. As long as you have a pair of headphones that is decent, you should be fine. Most of what Spirit is like tips. Oh, can you teach me how to play Spirit? No one can teach you how to play Spirit beyond get a decent headset, watch what a good Spirit looks like, and pay attention to where you're placing your husk. Beyond that, a lot of it is like you just have to learn yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like I will be a bad Spirit when I come back from a break because Overwatch sounds completely different, or like not wearing headphones for ages sounds completely different, and the game will also change when you take breaks. It's just getting used to the sound, listening out for like really important things, and just watching like. There's not a lot of Spirit content creators, so I just have to say me. But like, watch in videos, like when you're like really impressed by a phase, listen to what I'm listening for. And I don't use any EQ or anything. Don't touch EQs. Just do not. My game will sound exactly like yours does if you have the same headset as me. Obviously, different headsets sound different, but like through your own headphones, watching my videos, our games will sound exactly the same. So listen to what I'm listening for when I land like what is deemed an impressive phase, and see if you can replicate that yourself. But that literally just comes from experience. You have to tune your brain into listening out for sounds that your brain has already trained itself to phase out. Your brain is very good at just not picking up sounds that it doesn't like. Like people will like fall asleep to white noise, but that's because they don't hear the white noise anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like certain like when you're like at McDonald's and you hear the fry station going beep 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 all the time, you work there for like a month, you will never hear that thing ever again, and fries will burn because you just don't hear it anymore. You have to train your brain to re-listen to those sounds, like a blade of grass moving, and it's not even like looking for them. It's like you can hear this moving, like flip-flop footsteps. Like there's so many difficult sounds that you have to train yourself to hear that no one can teach you. I can't just say like, oh, you listen for the footsteps on Eerie. Like, it's a bitch to listen out for them. You have to train yourself to do it.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that goes for a lot of killers. I think Spirited is the antithesis of that, because it's like you said, it's just so difficult to be like, oh, well, it sounds like this.
Yeah, like literally.
And then I mean, there's other factors. It's like, okay, well, you heard it here, but that actually means they're going to be here because they moved, and you know, it's a specific character, so you're going to hear it like this, or the map makes it sound different. Like there's so many factors with it. And then as far as like headphones go, once again, like I joked, my headphones are actually like $20, but still, like at the end of the day, as long as they're functional, you can make do with what you have.
The biggest thing that you should avoid in a pair of headphones is like a lot of what cheap headphones will do, and it's not every cheap headphone, but a lot of gaming headphones, what they will do is bass boost. Bass boosting is terrible. The only time I would ever recommend using an EQ is not to tamper specifically, because I think it's cringe. But if you get an EQ specifically to turn down how loud your headphone is playing your bass, because all headphones have a built-in EQ, and a lot of cheap ones will pretend they're more expensive by being really bass boosty. Find an EQ that will remove the bass boost, and you'll be completely fine.
Yeah, I would also recommend something that has if you can afford to do this, something with noise dampening. And I mean that for like so you can't hear shit around you while you're playing. Now that's that's a whole like if you need to hear stuff around you, yeah, don't do that. But you know, someone like me who's just stuck in their room all day, I don't really need to hear things around me while I'm playing.
No, my headphones are like crazy noise cancelling as well. So my boyfriend will like come up behind me. And like, if I don't hear the floorboards creaking, I don't know that he's behind me. If he's like talking, I'm like la la la. I don't hear anything.
Also, I've recommended this to a lot of people, and some people don't like it. But Raycons actually aren't too bad for gaming. Just saying.
Wait, what's that? Sorry.
Raycons.
I'm so ignorant when it comes to headphones. I have like no idea what
they're
that
like
is.
wireless earbuds for like music and stuff, but they work just fine for gaming.
I've always been interested in like trying out like different headphones for Spirit. I think it'd be really fun.
I don't recommend wireless like actual headphones. A lot of them have sound delays.
Yeah, sound delays are really bad for Spirit. You do not want sound delay at all. Yeah. Always wired headphones.
But wireless Raycon wireless, that might sound like a fucking ad, but they're actually the sound delay is almost like non.
Yeah.
It's almost like not there. I don't know what magic they use on them, but yeah. It's my same problem with like wireless mouses. I tell people all the time, don't use wireless mouses. The input delay, while minute, is still there, and it will mess you up.
Yeah, true.
But is it that really the only tip you can give for new Spirit players though? Is just
literally it's just play. It is just play the absolute shit of the character, and she's going to be really frustrating at first, but over time, and it's not even just play like Spirit. It's just play Killer in general, and play it on the same volume, and eventually you'll understand that like this sound and around this area on my headset, because like you obviously don't have perfect surround sound on a headset. It is still just 2 speakers. Mm-hmm. Like most headsets that you're going to buy are not going to have multiple drivers. Like even my headset right now has pseudo drivers. It's still got 2 drivers, that's it. It pretends to have different drivers in the way like the speaker plays. So you are eventually like training yourself to build a translation between a sound and a position. And it is literally just a case of play a lot of Killer, play a lot of Spirit. Try and do 1v1s with people who are really good, because a lot of the time, like, you're not going to get a lot of practice. If everyone's just playing Feng Min with no Iron Will, you're not going to help yourself. You need to find, like, people who are good versus Spirit and at Spirit, playing very quiet characters on really awkward maps with, like, there's just so much that comes into, like, what makes you a good Spirit. You need to listen out for every single character, every single sound that they make. Every single map, every single perk, like what add-ons you're running as well, because your own speed will affect how you listen out for things. Like if you're running stacked speed, you're going to miss things. So like avoid speed. That's like, but probably my biggest tip is avoid speed. Run a recharge and a duration or another recharge when you are learning her. That is the only thing I can recommend.
Maybe this is just a me thing. I usually tell people for any killer, if you're learning them, just don't run add-ons. Actually,
I'd say if you can handle the fact that her base recharge is shit, then don't run add-ons. But her base recharge of 15 seconds isn't going to teach you anything. Like if you run double recharge and make it 9 seconds instead, that's great.
I don't like, because I don't want people to like learn a killer with certain add-ons like that, because then it feels like they'll kind of end up crutching on them later. That's just a me thing. I don't know.
True. It's not fun. If you like run double recharge and then try anything else, it's really like, this is horrible. Like even going from flute to which is 40% to going to the 30% add-on is like, you can feel it.
It's like the way I always say it. It's like it's like going on a run with weights.
Yeah.
Right. It's like once you get rid of the weights, then it feels incredible. But you also know if you had to, you can still do it.
Yeah.
Like on Chucky, I tell people don't run jump rope, don't run power drill, and don't run rat poison.
Yeah.
Everything else, go ahead, but avoid those when you're learning the character, because it will make them, once you get to a point to where you can use them, it will increase your skill immensely on that character.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of like my closing statement on tips for Spirit is just like, run double recharge. You want to be using your power as often as you can. Use it on things that you find difficult. Like if you like are chasing someone who's like really good and stealthy, force your power usage on them, because you are never going to have the opportunity to learn otherwise. because most people aren't very good. Most people do like playing loud characters. Meg, Fung, and Claudette are really popular characters. They are all very loud. You're not going to learn anything trying to chase them. But when Iron Will comes out, which I'm assuming by the time this video is done, Iron will be out. Like chase Iron Will, lots and lots and lots. Tunnel off the record, lots and lots and lots. Like really force yourself to be using your power as much as you can at things that are very challenging to do, because it's the only way you're ever going to learn her if you don't force yourself.
I should know this, but who's the quietest character in the game? Is it Ace?
It's Ada by like quite a long shot as
Ada?
well. Her
Okay.
breathing is the quietest in the game, and her injuries are the second quietest in the game. So
That actually makes way more sense than it should.
yeah. Ace is very. I have a massive tier list of like every single survivor. Like even just watching that as well. Like if any character you struggle on, I have a. This is up to not Ace. It's up to Sable.
I was gonna say I'll put it below.
Okay. Yeah. Just like if you really struggle on like what does this character sound like, just click on the timestamp of what they think, and I have every single sound they make in that one video. Like if you're like, what does Ada sound like when she's like breathing and walking? Is that click on the video. He's busy.
And then for playing against is a harder one to often, especially on Spirit, because
yeah, playing against Spirit is like it's very. I feel like one of the biggest things you can do to help yourself play against her is play a lot of her. I think a lot of what like makes people very good against Spirit is just understanding what she can and can't do in her power.
Right.
Because if you don't play her enough, you're not going to know what she can and can't do. Like I see a lot of people will just do the same thing where like they get to a really good window and they will fast vault the window, and then because they think their slow vaults are really quiet, they'll slow vault back into you. When in reality, one, I can hear your slow vaults because they're loud as fuck. And two, you have already reached a point of safety. You need to be looking for points of safety, like really good pallets, really good windows, and just making sure you're there on time. A lot of it as well is like a lot of spirits will start their phase really, really, really far back. And a lot of the time you can completely outrun her power. Like if you just assume the meta of what every single spirit runs is cap and flute, because I'd say about 90% of them run it. You can outrun like a lot. I've got like a video somewhere. It might not be a bad idea to like link it. But yeah, if you just pay attention to like, she's one of the very few killers where you can be in a place, you can pretend to be in a place you're physically not by manipulating your sounds. So like if you're a loud character who's injured, you can like, if you're if there's a window at point A and then the spirits are like point B and you are like halfway between point A and B, and if you crouch, it sounds like you've already made the window. So they're going to gun for the window, at which point you can try and double back at some point and you make a miss. Or putting your item down, vaults makes a slow vault sound, so it sounds like you vaulted the pallet. Certain things like that are like really important. Any means necessary will do it without the item drop sound. That's a really good one as well. Being really patient as well. A lot of spirits will try and will run round loops. I do it all the time. I'll run round loops to try and force people to vault, because when they've vaulted, they've stuck in an animation lock, and I can then whip back around and hit them. Be very patient. Like a lot of her is winning your 50-50s, which a lot of killers do. You know, Blight has 5 50-50s that you got to win. Even someone like Wraith has a minor 50-50. Oni has a very good 50-50. Just like getting good at reading 50-50s, being patient. Like a lot of very, very big loops, she can't actually phase all the way around and get you, so she will try and force you to vault. So pay attention to the fact that she is trying to force you, and then she'll go one way, and then you'll be patient, and she'll think you vaulted, so she'll already start pre-going the other way, thinking that you're going to vault. And then because you haven't vaulted, she'll go back, and then you can vault then, and you've drained all of her power. You can hold W. She is, for 15 seconds, a 4.4 killer that you can hear through walls. It is a lot about draining her power, being patient, and even if get the hit, the more power that you've drained, the more distance you can make to somewhere safe. That is one of the biggest things. Sometimes, if you are a decent distance away, holding W is brilliant. It's very boring for the spirit to play against as well, but holding W in completely straight lines, after you get hit as well, you can outrun her phase. I want to make a guide at some point, but the biggest tips I can give is if you are further than shack distance, if you are if there is a shack distance between you, shack and a half between you, just run. If she starts phasing and you are running, she will not catch up to you. She will waste her entire power getting to you.
It is so, I don't, cathartic's the wrong word, but it's so, everything you just said, I'm like, wow, that is it's actually very good advice, and two, almost everything you said is the same counterplay for Chucky.
But it is like holding W is like so good at so many killers. Like people think that Spirit's like a high mobility killer, so they'll play like this is again like kind of going back onto the tips for playing Spirit. Don't use her power for mobility. She is not an ability killer.
Mm-hmm.
This whole standing still doing a little hand thing to charge up, you have lost 6.5 meters.
Right.
That is huge distance that you're losing, and you're only gaining like 3 meters per second. So for you to like, for you using your power for mobility, you need to use at least 3 seconds of your power, which is like a good chunk. You put yourself on a 9-second cooldown to move an extra 2 meters than you would just walking. You can't see anyone during that time either. It's just not. It's not worth it. So yeah, don't use your power for mobility. Spirit's not a mobility killer, and abuse the fact that she's not a mobility killer against that. Even if if she's an insane spirit and she's winning every single 50-50 in her 1v1s, which is very rare, by the way. There's not really a lot of good spirits out there, but on the off chance that you do go against a spirit that's dedicated a lot of time to her, play the 4v1 against her. Her 4v1 is terrible. She is not a mobility killer. She can only hold areas. If you just something really simple, like you're getting hit, there is a gen that you're working on, you get hit, and you just hold W all the way to the other end of the map. She can't do anything about that. She catches up to you, she downs you, and she's a 4.4 on her way back.
Right.
That is so much gen time. Play the 4v1 against her. It's so important to be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think another big point you brought in there was patience. And I hate to say this, and I don't like calling people bad, but man, some of y'all need to learn to be patient.
Yeah, panic vaulting is so it will just kill you. Like you are animation locking yourself.
Killer and survivor, man. Some of y'all just need to just take a second. I promise you, it's fine.
Yeah.
And most, especially killers, we're just waiting for you to panic most of the time. Yeah. That's not me saying, oh, we're bad because of it. No, I'm just saying like a lot of playing killer is that it's capitalizing on a mistake or forcing a mistake. Yeah. And a lot of survivor players do not make that hard.
No, especially on Spirit though. Spirit is she's a very overwhelming killer.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to kind of be pushed into making mistakes. She's looking for you to panic, to vault, to lock yourself into an animation where you're going to just make mistakes. Just be patient. Keep a level head. Think properly about what you think she's going to do. Because the general thing is you'll be at the pallet, a downed pallet. She'll be at the other side of the downed pallet, when it's big enough. And she will phase one way, and then she'll phase around the other because she thinks you vaulted. Mm-hmm. So when she phases around your way first, wait. When you hear her go around the other way, still wait. Obviously, don't vault into her. But then when she starts coming back around the other way, that's when you can vault, because then you'll be safe, because she will have drained enough of her power.
Yeah.
It's just patience is so important.
It's something that I feel isn't done enough. I mean, I'm sure you see my Chuck Spot clips on Twitter sometimes, but it's I say it on almost every clip. If people would just stop moving more, I probably wouldn't be able to get any clips.
Yeah.
It's just hold your spot, wait for your turn, and then go.
Yeah.
It seems counterintuitive, but I promise you on 90% of the cast it'll work, especially Spirit and Chucky, but especially Spirit. A killer you can't see at all, yeah, it'll help, I promise.
Yeah, patience is so good. That's probably the biggest tip I can give someone. There's obviously I'll give you the video because it might not be a bad idea if you edit clips of the video. I've basically got as much as I can in this tiny little video of spirit counters.
Mm-hmm.
But if you edit little bits in there of what I've said, but it's just minimal tiny things, dropping your item next to a really safe pallet, and it'll make you think that you revolted into her.
Mm-hmm.
But just being patient is so important. It's the biggest tip I can give you.
Little bit of levity on these next couple questions, but are you a big lore head for the game at all?
I'm not at all. I do not care for lore. I love Pixel Bush. He is my absolute sweetheart, but I do not care. I do not tell him. I just hate lore.
So
I love his videos. They're great. I just don't know anything about spirits.
So if I was to ask you your opinions on spirits lore, you really wouldn't have anything to say.
No, I do not have anything to say. I think her base outfit is stupid and insensitive, and that is the only moderate piece of like lore I can give you.
Yeah, especially her. Have they retconned the whole dragon thing?
I have no idea.
I feel like they have, but part of me is like they probably haven't. God, that was such a stupid. Anyways, oh my! Don't get me started on Hooked on You. Oh my god.
No, I fucking hate that outfit.
Well, not even just the outfit. Did you play it?
I saw a lot of clips of Hooked on You. I know they gave her a foot fetish. Which I'm not shaming. You know, go for it.
Yeah.
But like, fucking hell.
They did a lot of weird stuff with Spirit in particular. The rest of them I actually think were fine, but her they kind of like, once again, not shaming the foot fetish thing, whatever, you know. But they brought in like a bunch of like ancestral stuff into her character.
Yeah.
That I don't know, maybe I'm looking too deeply into it, but it did seem a little insensitive. Oni,
the thing is, like,
Oni shows up.
Like I just had her base outfit. Is like, that's not how you wear. Is it called Sarashi? I don't know how to pronounce it very well.
Don't look at me.
No, neither. I probably shouldn't be talking on this. I'm very like ill-informed.
I'm an ignorant American. I don't know shit about it. And I will admit that.
Yeah, I just know that a lot of people have their qualms with her outfit. There's no reason for her to be naked.
Yeah, I think it was just and I hate using this excuse, but I think it was just because behavior was a lot smaller at the time.
Yeah.
So that they weren't really like too concerned with looking too deeply into character designs like that. I do think the idea of her being basically DBD's version of I mean, now that we have her, but DBD's version of Sadako, I think the direction they went with that was actually interesting at the very least.
I think visually and like sound design and visual design, I think she is the best killer in the game. If you hate her power, you can at least admit that like when she like moves her hands and everything, like her veins start bulging, the glass is crunching. Like just the sound design of her chase music is insane. Her like animations, I mean, her animations have been removed. I'm like, I don't know if you saw that like one tweet where like she has like one like she used to have like when she came out of phase, she had like a lunge animation where she had her hands in the air and she stooped really low down to the ground. It was so fucking cool. And like just all of her animations were beautiful. They've removed a lot of them since, but I think like if you're talking like peak Spirit, I think she's absolutely incredibly designed, like visually and sound wise. Yeah,
I think that because she's the only like actual ghost in the game.
Yeah.
Other than Sadako, which once again she's based off of, but still. Technically she's not based. Anyways, semantics. It's I think that they knocked it out of the park as far as like the visuals and the sound. Like when she's using her power, like you can very tell she's in pain doing it.
Yeah.
Which is always a nice little touch. They do the same thing kind of with Nurse, but I think Spirit did it better.
Yeah. And it's like even something minimal like her old walk cycle, you can still see it like when you finish a game with Spirit. Like just that walk cycle where she's like running and like the endless like on the scoreboard screen. It's like it's so well done. The animators did like a brilliant job. I mean, it cost them like 30 grand apparently to like just animate her.
It's funny because I've talked about getting my model done in 3D instead of just as a PNG. And I've talked to people. People have asked me why I don't do it, and the big reason is because the difficulties of getting someone to make puppet-like movements that look unnatural on purpose, is a lot harder than and I mean this in the best way. Making something look bad on purpose is very, very difficult.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And I praise behavior on the animation team on almost every killer, but Spirit definitely knocks it out of the park.
because the thing is, with like human-like animations, you can mocap them very easily because you don't have to do anything beyond that much. But when you have someone like Spirit, like those animations are like, they're weird. People shouldn't be doing those. Right. So like, obviously, like it's partially mocapped, I'm assuming. But there's still like a lot of work you need to do on top of that. And just what they've done with her is like, it's crazy. They've done a really good job.
Yeah, and the fact that it flows as well as it does, even with the phasing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the phasing obviously hides a lot of the animations, but it's like the fact that it's able to still be a coherent animation even when you can't see her for half a second. It's just incredible.
And then she comes out of phase, and you have like the flicker animation where there's like loads of her appearing at once. Like every time I pause to get a screenshot of like something, she just looks so cool. I think her visual design is like actually insane. Like it used to be so much better. Like one thing I really miss is that her default hair used to move like she was like underwater. So when she like moved back and forth, it was like someone was moving underwater. They've completely changed it, and it looks terrible now. For like optimization, it's so boring.
Yeah, it's very stiff now, isn't it?
Yeah, I hate it. It's like really thick and like greasy as well. It's just, I hate it so much. But yeah, it used to look so good.
Speaking of her default skin, of her other skins, is there any that you particularly enjoy and or hate?
I have like, I mean, obviously you've got like the videos running in the background. There's like, I use like 2 outfits, but mainly like 1 outfit on repeat all the time. I love it. I think it's like the best outfit ever. It's like the prestige body with either like the vengeful Odachi sword, because that's like a Poco sword. I think is really funny. There's a really nice like blossom one. I can't remember what it's called. But like the headpiece as well, the loose Shimada. It's bugged at the minute, and I can't run it because it looks awful. Like it used to like float. Like it was one of her old. It's one of the only headpieces at the minute that looks like it's floating in water when she runs. But currently, all the weight painting is broken. So halfway down her hair, it just flops straight down to the ground like a dress, and it just looks awful. I hate it. But that's my favorite outfit. I think her outfits are really good. I really, 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 really want her. Her like mobile outfits. Her mobile outfits just like so good as well.
You and everybody for every killer ever.
I want them so bad. Like the marionette spirit would be so fucking good if they actually fucking released it.
That's wait, there was a marionette spirit?
It's so good. Like it's actually insane.
I might have to become a spirit main if that gets added to the game.
Like it's such a good outfit. I mean, it's not here. Like her outfits are good. I think like her outfits are some of the best. She has a lot of outfits as well, and she's about to get a new outfit in the tome, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, it's also funny with how many she's not overbloated like some other characters, but she gets a surprising amount of outfits for how little she's played.
Yeah, no, I know. I like Legion like has a lot of playtime, and they have a lot of outfits to make up for it. But like Spirit, like I don't think her pick rate's that crazy.
Last I checked, it's 2.5%. That was on Nightlight though.
I see like 1 or 2 a month.
Really?
Yeah, like genuinely, I hardly ever see Spirit. So I'm very excited for this tome, so I can actually go against a lot more Spirits. Especially with my new Iron Will, I'm very excited for that. Yeah,
wait, hold up! I didn't even think about that. They're buffing Iron Will before the Spirit tome. That seems a little suspect. Just saying.
I know what you mean. Like having Spirit tome and Iron Will, it'd be very interesting to see how like Iron Will like statistically affects her win rate.
That's actually kind of funny. I joked about this too. It's like if Made for This didn't get nerfed before Chucky came out, he would be the most miserable killer in the game. Yeah. I'm really curious how much they plan that stuff ahead. I would love to know.
What it's like Made for This like hard countered Singularity.
Yeah.
And they released it at exactly the same time. Like it's a joke.
Yeah. I was playing Clown when Made for This was a thing, so I didn't even notice it existed.
Yeah, to be fair. Like even so, like it bothered Nurse so much. People were like, "Oh my god, like it only bothers the M." I was like, "No, it bothers Nurse massively." Running like 3% faster with her mobility is like insane.
It messed with every killer because except for Clown. I think Clown was the only one who didn't because it messes up timings.
Yeah, no, it does. Like even on Spirit, like when someone doubles back like 3% faster, I know it sounds so stupid. Like it does just like it messes you up. Like I could tell who had Made for This in phase, and even out of phase, you're still at 110. Like it's awful to be at 110 against Made for This.
Yeah, it is. That's once again that's why I said that they get released when if it was still a thing when Chucky came out, he would be fucking miserable.
Imagine if they released Skull Merchant when before nerfing Eruption as well.
Oh,
I think about that all the time. I'd die.
oh my god. Uh, once again, I'm really curious how far ahead they plan. Um, uh, is there any skins you don't like on her?
I don't know. I'm like very anti hooked on you, but half the reason I hate hooked on you is I feel like it speaks like this. This is gonna sound like so rude of me, and I'm really sorry if you like me and you like hooked on you. But I feel like people who pick the hooked on you outfit are people that don't play Spirit, and you can very much tell. You know, there's like bot skins. Like every single William Birkin Blight that I have ever seen in my entire life, besides Lilith, has been horse shit, and it's so fucking funny. You see like Birkin Blight coming towards you, and it's a 4-out. It doesn't matter what map. He can have 4 slowdowns, and it will just be a 4-out because they're just awful. And I feel like hooked on you is the Spirit equivalent. I've never in my life seen a good hooked on you Spirit.
It's there would be Stitch Chucky for Chucky.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, I maybe it's one of those things where it's like you also got to think about the market of who's actually buying these skins sometimes.
Yeah.
Because like I mean, obviously Lilith is gonna buy every Blight skin, but like which ones is he using is the better question.
Yeah.
But it's like the average player is just like, oh, William Birkin's in the game. I gotta buy that, you know.
Yeah. I feel like it's very much like people like Gooners see the fucking hooked on you Spirit skin and are like, wow, she looks so cool with no clothes on and giant hair. And I love this game because it had a foot fetish in it. And they go play her and they realize that she's much harder than they thought, and they're just like playing through like their TV speakers or something. I don't know. I've just never seen a good hooked on you Spirit. And when I put the outfit on, I embody being a bad spirit. I have no idea what it is. It's like a curse. You put on the outfit and you miss like half of your phases. It's horrible. I hate the outfit.
Are you?
I like all of the rest of them.
Are you a fan of the Attack on Titan one?
I love it. It's really grown on me, you know.
I
like the sword swing is such a nice sound. I don't even care. It's so good.
I still think she was a weird choice for it, but I don't hate it.
I know what you mean. I think she's like a very interesting choice for it. I think like we could have easily gotten like Trapper, Eren Yeager.
Yeah, that would.
And we didn't. And Mobile got them instead. Yeah, I really like Warhammer. I play Warhammer like Spirit a lot.
This kind of goes a little bit more into balance, but maps. Would you say Spirit is map dependent?
Yes, I think she's miles more map dependent than people make out as well.
Mm-hmm.
I did like a tier list at some point. I'll like see if I can like find it. But I basically wanted to talk about like why I don't like certain maps and whatever. A lot of maps have like really bad audio issues.
Mm-hmm.
So like Footsteps on Eerie are really, really, really bad. The ink sounds like breathing all the time, so just a generally terrible map for her. Leary's main building room is so fucking loud you cannot hear anything on it.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
It's so bad. Like the main gen gets on, it's like boom, television, boom. I'm like, no, shut up. Someone runs there with Iron Wall, you can't hear shit. And it's like, great. I'm so glad I lived on this map. Greenville has like no one talks about this, but Greenville has a sound desync issue. I don't know if it's because the map's so fucking massive. The sound plays like half a second later than the person making it does.
Mm-hmm.
So Greenville, I hate Greenville. Also Greenville, there's loads and loads and loads and loads of pallets. I know it sounds like really stupid because the pallets aren't very safe, but you can, if she's body blocking a pallet, you can always make it to another pallet at the very, very end of her phase, and you can drop it towards the end of it, and then she's a 4.4. Aaron and me, I bumped into Aaron in pubs, and he ran me for fucking ages on that map. And he's never made a video as well. It's so fucking rude. But yeah, I hate Greenville. I think it's disgusting. Midwich, I really don't like. I think it's a very noisy map. I think there's a lot of god windows and god palettes that you can like if you're playing the rooms against the spirit, then you're silly. But if you just hold W against her and find a god palette and find a god window, I think Midwich is like one of my most hated maps ever. Hawkins, again, sound issue. Gideon, there's a million fucking god palettes that she is a glorified M1 killer. She is an invisible M1 killer that holds W to the next palette to break it. Fucking hate that map as well. There's maps that obviously I love. I think the swamp maps have wonderful audio on them. It's beautiful. Both Temple and Mothers have wonderful, wonderful audio. All of the Autohaven maps I love. All of the Macmillan maps I think are really nice besides Shelter, because Shelter's got quite a noisy main building. I don't like Cold Wind. Cold Wind Footsteps are weird. That's the thing, like a lot of what comes to like some people like do and don't like certain maps because like, oh, they've got like so many palettes or so. With Spirit, it's like this map has really bad audio. It's like DDS has like really, really, really foul audio. Like the water tower is very noisy. The main building piano is very noisy. There's a lot of eagles around that screech that are very noisy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's something that you really appreciate until you like you play Spirit on them. It's like Toba. Everyone's issue with Toba is the collision is shit. My issue with Toba is that the plants breathe. Yeah, it's so horrible.
So many noises on Toba. I fucking hate it.
And the thing is, like, for M1s, it's actually not a bad. I think it's the best map they've released, like, within the past 4 years. I'm so serious. But if it wasn't so fucking goddamn ugly or loud, and the collisions weren't auto-generated, I'd like it.
I hate Dead Dog because of the vultures.
Yeah, the vultures are like DDS it's a loud map.
Macmillan.
Nostromo main is really weird. Yeah. I like Macmillan. Macmillan's good. But there's something else you don't realize as well, like. Sorry, I'm like interrupting here, but like Macmillan edge map and Red Forest edge map, the walls, like outside the walls, there's screaming noises. So if you're being chased by a spirit and you go edge map and you're healthy, she often won't hear you because the walls literally fucking scream. It's really funny.
Yeah, but my only point, like with Macmillan, I just hate the barrels. I'll be playing
barrels like. Will confuse you.
It sounds like footsteps. Like if it was a different enough noise, I wouldn't care. But they sound so close to footsteps sometimes.
I think they do it on purpose, though. I kind of like that. Like survivors have like counterplay options like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can run to a barrel and like kind of walk away from the barrel. Or like gens as well. There's kind of a bug at the minute where gens will take up a lot more sound space than they're supposed to. You know, like. You can't have every single sound playing at once, so other sounds are like lowered to compensate. Gens are very swallowing at the minute, so things like that. I don't think that's like necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a skill of Spirit to be able to like pick up smaller sounds over louder sounds like that.
Also,
but yeah, barrels I still get confused at 2,000 hours on Spirit later.
Also, I think you're one of the only killers other than me I've heard say they don't like Midwich.
Midwich is horrible. I fucking hate Midwich.
Fucking hate Midwich.
Like, so much. It's so noisy. It's so hold W. And if you're, like, good, you just go upstairs, run the 2 god windows, then find the god palette, and by the time you finish your chase and you're down, your gen spread at the end of it is undefendable.
I'm going to say it, and I know some people will massively disagree with this. Midwich is just better Gideons. I'm going to be 100% honest. And what I mean by better, I mean like it's, quote, more balanced Gideons.
I think it's like, I think Midwich, I think Gideon is like obviously insanely survival-sided. But like, for like some killers, I feel like some killers do exceptionally well.
I was going to say, I think the stats would disagree with you, but fair enough.
To be fair, I will never, ever, ever look at stats. I think stats are a terrible indicator because the general player base is not very good, which is fine. But like, they also think that Nurse is the worst killer in the game because of stats. So, and that Skull Merchant is the best because everyone likes killing themselves against her.
Well, I mean, Gideon's, it's funny because I hate that map too. But like, I've watched my games over. I very rarely lose on Gideon's.
I will a Spirit just because as soon as you drop a pallet, she can't do anything on a god pallet. She has to unphase and break the pallet.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there is no difference between me waiting my charge up time and phasing. Because if I'm phasing for like 2 seconds, I might as well have walked there. Well, that's like literally all fucking Gideon is.
I think Gideon's is an example of a map that I think it's because once again I win on it a lot more than I lose. Doesn't mean I don't hate the map.
Yeah, I still fucking hate it.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Midwich. It's like I actually win on Midwich a lot. It's just I fucking hate it.
I lose on Midwich a lot. I don't play to win. I play to like have fun with barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't care like if there's only 2 gens left, I need to tunnel someone out. I just don't do that. If they get in my face off the record, then yeah, I'll tunnel them. I think it's fun as fuck. But I don't care about winning that much. But I will kind of pay attention to what maps I'm winning and losing on.
Mm-hmm.
And I do see that I tend to lose on Midwich more than I win on Midwich. Just because it's ugly as fuck as well. I hate it.
It's supposed to be ugly.
I know, but it's still like... bleh. Garden of Joy isn't fun either. I could talk about maps for like ages. Wreckers is the best map. Wreckers and Temple. If every single map was Wreckers and Temple, I'd be a very happy girly.
I hear a lot of people hate Temple.
Temple's great. I think a lot of collision-based killers don't like Temple.
I love Temple.
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of line of sight blockers. I think the loops are decently spread apart. I think there's a lot of interesting strats you can do with it in the main building. I don't think it's too big. I don't think it's too small, and I think that because the main building,
a very small map.
Huh?
It's actually a very small map.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think Temple is if I remember correctly off the top of my head, I think it's 136 tiles, which is pretty dinky.
Yeah.
Temple.
But it's also like I enjoy the main building because it doesn't feel obtrusive like a lot of the other main buildings. Like it feels like it's part of the map rather than like its own thing.
Yeah, I get you. It is 136 tiles, by the way.
I don't know tiles off the top of my head, so I don't have a reference point, but I'll take your word for it.
A tile is 8 by 8 meters. It's exactly the same size as Dead Dog Saloon.
Really?
Yep.
Huh. Interesting.
I think Coal Tower and like Wreckers are like similar sizes as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was bigger because it's technically Red Forest.
Yeah, they shrunk it. It was already not a massive map anyway. But like 150 is big for a map. 130 is tiny. And obviously you've got a few maps that are like 170, which is like ridiculous. But like the smallest map is Coal Tower, which is 132. Even Wrecker's Yard is 144. So Wrecker's Yard is bigger. But by like a bit.
But Wrecker's Yard can have that main building.
I love Wrecker's Yard. Wrecker's Yard is the best as I'm.
I hate Wrecker's Yard. I hate a lot of maps.
Wait, why'd you hate Wreckers? Wreckers is the best.
The main building?
There's no main building on Wreckers. It's just the shack in the middle.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know.
Am I thinking of Autohaven?
Wreckers Yard is an
What's the one with the gas station?
Gas Heaven.
Oh, Gas Heaven.
I was going to say, the Gas Heaven main building is disgusting.
Yeah, I fucking hate that map because of that.
Yeah.
I've shown people this. If you know what you're doing in that main building, Chucky physically cannot catch up to you.
No, most killers can't.
Even if if he breaks the wall, no. I've done the math. I've done the testing. He cannot. You have to royally fuck up for him to catch you. Yeah, map. But like map balance is also like a difficult thing I feel in this game because we do have to take into account that some killers do better on some maps than others. But I do think ones like Garden of Joy, where like every killer does badly on, I think like we do need to address those.
Massively.
I do also, and I got a lot of shit when I said this. I actually do think most maps should be, I'm going to use this one word here, slightly survivor-sided.
I agree, actually. I was going to say they should be slightly survivor-sided.
I think every map in the game should be slightly survivor-sided. We've seen what happens when there's a killer-sided map. There's not that very many in the game. But
yeah, but like I don't think there are any. I think Wreckers and Coal Tower. But even then, Coal Tower can be insane against M1s. Like, they call it RNG Tower for a reason. I don't think there's a single killer-sided map in the game.
I think for 70% of the cast, Midwich is technically a killer-sided map.
Yeah, true. Maybe, I don't know. I think it's only good for, like, Nurse and Dredge, and then Dredge is, like, the worst killer in the game, so who cares? You know, Dredge is so shit, I forgot about him when talking about who's the worst killer in the game. I changed my mind. Dredge is the worst, then Hag.
Really?
Then Freddy. Yeah, Dredge is fucking horseshit.
You're gonna hate my next guest.
Oh, no, I think he's a brilliant killer. I love going against him. I just think he's really, really bad killer. He needs, like, a serious look at how his power works.
I think a lot of his add-ons just need to be base kit.
Yeah, true.
I think he would be fine after that. I was playing, I remember when Made for This was meta, I tried playing Dredge because I have, like, 100 cakes on Dredge. I just couldn't.
No.
Like, oh, well, you have your Remnant for loops. Yeah, during the Made for This meta, though, people would just drop the pallet and leave, and then you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, she couldn't do anything. It's crazy.
No,
like, my final, like, closing statement on maps that I hate and love. Big maps are not very good for Spirit. stacked palette maps are also not very good. So that's like Greenville and like a lot of the Badams aren't very good for her. But like I don't kind of mind so much that it's the noisy maps. It's maps with like really bad noise pollution issues. So that's like Erie, DDS, Leary's, Hawkins, Toba for obvious reasons. Just maps like that. Like it's not like Erie, especially. I think Erie is like if you ask any Spirit player, they will tell you that either Erie or Leary's is their like most hated map, just because the audio on there is so bad. Like a lot of the steam pipes in Leary's will make hissing sounds that sound like breathing as well, which is really irritating. And any time they run over carpet audio is very quiet. Just very horrible map. It's not fun.
Do you think it would be too much if they added an option for in-game sounds to be lowered?
Define in-game sounds, because I think the game is balanced around certain sounds being certain volumes.
That's what I'm saying. Like the steam pipes on Larry's. Like, would it be a big deal if you could lower the noise on those?
I think it lowers Spirit's skill expression, so that should never be an option. The game is intentionally balanced. Like you're supposed to have noisy things like that. I think Leary's and Erie takes it too far. Like it's like Greenville main building as well. Once that gen gets done and the cinema is on, you cannot hear anything in the main building whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I just think that map takes it too far. You should be able to go to places where it's difficult to track you. It shouldn't be free. Like if you run into Leary's main building, Spirit has to unphase. She cannot hear you. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And also like Erie footsteps are really rough. But I do think like it's kind of the fun of her. I think she has a lot of variety about her. There's lots and lots of things to learn, and it's part of what makes her so fun. Like it is frustrating if you get Erie like 5 times in a row because they decide to boost it during the anniversary because everyone fucking loves Erie apparently. But yeah, I think like it is like kind of fun aspect about her. Like each map has different footstep sounds and different like sound pollution issues you need to watch out for. And I think that's kind of fun.
Fair enough. Maybe it's just me like I always think there should be more options like that in the game personally. Maybe it's just a me.
I think the only sound options they need, I wouldn't hate if chase music was an option that you could turn down, and the blood web audio should have. That's a completely different topic.
Oh my god, the blood web.
Yeah, but I'm so fucking loud.
Well,
and noise notifications, I need them turned down. I hate them so much.
Or like fucking Plague when she's in power.
Yeah, that's really loud as well. I think that's on purpose though. Like they should turn it down. That's the thing. I think that like certain things shouldn't have an option, but they just should be turned down anyway.
But I mean that's once again that's where like the whole audio discussion kind of comes into a bit of issue. It's like what we don't know what's intentionally there as a balance decision and what's just there for like aesthetics.
Yeah.
Like for all we know, Larry being as loud as it is, that's not balance. That's just literally.
I don't think they're balanced like that at all.
Right. Same with like the barrels on Macmillan. Like we can sit here and discuss like, oh, maybe it's a cool thing that survivors can use in this way and that way. It's like, yeah, but was that the intention?
No, because they were there before Spirit. But I do think that like things like that should be in the game. You should have more options than like if you're playing like a moderately loud character and there's no barrel, no completed gen, no Leary's main building, you are always going to be heard. Having things like that, I think, one obviously adds to the immersion, but one adds to the counterplay of an already very difficult counter killer. So I think that's like I think that's kind of like a non-problematic issue. I think the only thing you should have sound tweaks for are chase music, because no one likes loud chase music. It stops you from playing so many killers. And noise notification sounds. I think noise notification sounds are too loud, stupid.
Well,
I hate running Infectious and Rancor Inspired because of I just don't run them anymore.
Well, last thing, and I actually think you'll probably have these. Do you have any stats for Spirit?
I do. Let me find them quick. So I have 2 accounts. My first account, I was a save inject because I hated the idea of restarting from console all over again. And I went against a streamer and there was a hacker in the lobby, so I got banned by proxy. Because obviously when everyone mass reported me, because everyone loves that streamer for some reason. Like his cult following like mass reported me, so Behavior looked into my account and said, "You've got a saving checks, we're gonna ban you anyway." And I was like, okay, cool. I had 3,721 face downs on that account. And on this account, which I don't cheat quote marks on. I have continue to external site, verifying that you're human. Where is it? Oh my god, where is it? I can't fucking see it.
It should be on the right.
I think on a different site.
Oh.
Oh my god, wait. Right, hooks, killer powers. Let's killers down to using power. Where is it? Oh, there we go. I have 17,932 as we speak.
What does that put you on the leaderboard?
Do you want me to add both of them together, or just
the killer power?
No, is it like for both accounts together?
Oh, I guess so. Yeah. Go ahead and do that, I guess.
So on this account, just as is, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15th. But if I add 17,932. No, wait. 17,932 plus.
Only podcast you'll have to do math on, I promise.
I love maths, you know. I'm notorious for my little graphs.
You knew what I meant when I said multiplicative and additive, so you're already in my good graces.
Yeah, I love maths. I think it's so fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm 11th. If I didn't get banned on my first account, or if I just played not with the save inject. Actually, to be fair, because I had a save inject, it's so naughty. I was spamming Mother Door Ring and Prayer Beads every single game, so a lot of the downs I wasn't getting through like phase downs. I was getting through gen grabs, and I have like 700 gen grabs. To be like a little bit more, like not massively. But yeah, I'm like 15th on my current account and 11th overall. If you add both accounts together. And
Spirits Trapped one is actually one people care about, I assume.
Kind of. There's one guy, I'm not saying their name, but there's one person on the leaderboard that was very obviously farming in like, you know, when you go like cross off on like a different region and like it's basically a custom game but on live servers.
Yeah.
And they were very, very, very obviously just farming phase downs with their friends.
There's a that does that.
Yeah, there's a lot of bubbers that do that. There's a bug with you know the one where it doesn't insta down you, but it like takes you a health state. It like every time you do one of those, it counts as 3. So there's the top bubbers are using that. They just farm with speed limiter. That's it. They just farm with that. And obviously Billies are completely bugged, but there is one spirit that is cheating that.
What I meant by that though was it a stat that like actually like it's not like twins where no one cares.
No. Like the stat for spirit is like survivors downed after haunting. I wish it was hits with phase.
Okay.
But it's only downs.
Okay.
But yeah, there's like the difference is obviously I've got like 20,000. The person in first has 50,000, and the person in third has 30,000. So the difference between Cyber Queen and Julia is insane.
That's still like I mean like it's still insane. Even your numbers are still insane.
The person in 6th has half the downs that the person in first has. So that's a food for thought. I think Aaron's up here as well, actually. He like made his account public the other day for like really, really briefly, and I saw it on here.
Yeah. I unfortunately can't track my stats, so I don't know because I play on Windows Store because I'm a weirdo.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. It is what it is. I don't care about Chucky's stat anyways. Do you know what Chucky's is?
Is it what is it?
It hits 3 seconds after a scamper. So back before the change, it was like people didn't care, and if you were like top, like people actually kind of hated you. And
yeah,
now,
like, oh, you're a manual scamperer.
And now people, if you have like the highest, people just say you're playing against bad people because that's the only way you're ever gonna land it.
It's like a lot of Weskers on the leaderboard. Like his stat is survivor slammed into another survivor, so it is just Weskers camping with power, and when they unhook, they slam them into each other and farm the stats that way.
I always
So
forget.
no one cares about Wesker.
This just proves how little I camp. I always forget he can even do that.
Yeah, same.
It's like Twins. I still think Twins probably has one of the worst ones. It's hits while Victor is on somebody.
You say that Pyramid Head is survivors sent to the cage,
right.
Which no one fucking cares about.
Right.
You could be the worst Pyramid Head ever, and you'll still be on the leaderboards.
Yeah, that's true. I think Nemesis is tentacle wind or it's level ups, I believe. It's not tentacle hits. Yeah, some killers.
I think like Myers is evil within tier ups. Like, who cares?
I really wish they would go back through and make it official and actually have a leaderboard in the game for some of this stuff.
I think it'd be so fun to have a leaderboard in game. Or like when they said they were going to do player cards, I didn't think it was just going to be a fucking
image,
gay flag icon and banner. Like that's all I can run at the minute. Like I wanted it to be like you click on the profile and it's like an Apex where it says like you can choose 3 stats you want to display, or like even like on Overwatch you can see like everything that anyone has ever played. Yeah, I want something like that, and I want outfits to be unlocked when you reach certain milestones. Like imagine going against a spirit who has the headpiece for 10,000 phase downs. Like that would just be terrifying.
It's one of those things because they've said before that the reason they don't want to do it is because they would have to start everyone from zero, and everyone I've talked to has been like, that's fine. Just do it.
Literally just do it. Please give us something to work towards. I'm going to lose my mind.
It's one of those things where a lot of people are in very little agreement in this game on a lot of things. That's one of those ones where people seem to be like, no, just fucking do it. Please.
Literally just fucking, I do not give a shit if I have to start again.
Like, can I just have a thing that shows how many slice and dice hits I've gotten? Or hits during my hidey ho? Or hits during phase? Like, just do it. Or like
I would love hits like phase downs is like so many spirits will M1 you and then phase after you're like actually injured so they can hear you. Like there are very few spirits that will like land on top of your head when you're healthy and stealthy. So I would be like I'd be so much higher on this leaderboard if it was that, but it's not, it's phase downs. Just start it from the beginning. Let me work towards like an outfit that I can get after like 10,000 phase hits. And like fucking do something in the game that will stop me from quitting.
It doesn't even have to be like I've said this before about like prestige outfits. It doesn't even have to be anything like literally take the prestige outfits you have and just change the blood color. I'll take it.
Make it blue. You fucking love blue from the Deep Rift. You make everything blue. Give me that. I don't care. Just give me something to work towards. I can like show off how much of a no life I have. No life to this character. Yeah,
even like the prestige is it's like, oh, you're prestige 100. Well, no one cares because they can't see it till the end of the match, and most people already left.
Yeah, literally. Like, wow, that's a prestige 100 spirit. Cool. Bye.
Cool. Bye. And then you play bad, and then they get mad at you anyways.
Yeah, like I feel so embarrassing. Like I would take a break. And I'm like, I am horseshit. There's like a sound bug. I haven't played for a month. I've listened to Overwatch sounds. And like, oh my god, are you sure you're prestige 100? Yes, I'm fucking sure. Thank you. I've had enough.
You don't understand. As people who main characters, we're not allowed to ever have a bad match or play badly ever, ever.
No, literally.
Yeah, we're not allowed to. We have to be on our 100% A game at all times.
So hate it.
I had someone come into my chat the other day and was like, how can you be the best Chucky if you just lost? First off, I never claimed to be the best. So I made a whole tweet about this. Like, first off, I never claimed to be the best. Second, just like even Ots loses, and third, like fucking like I'm not always trying my hardest. I know that's an.
Have you maybe like stopped to think that I don't give a fuck about winning? Try that. I don't care. There you go.
Like I was playing a match on Coldwin and I went up against a survivor who knew exactly what to do against Chucky, and it was like Shack into cow tree. And it's like I chased them anyways because I was like, you know what, fuck it, they know what they're doing. I kind of want to chase this.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and you know, I lost that match because obviously I did. It's like I said while I was playing, there really isn't much Chucky can do here.
No.
Especially against someone who knows what they're doing. That doesn't mean I'm bad. That means they're good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so like sometimes like a map will be against your favor, perks will be against your favor, but sometimes like this person is just very good, and it's enjoyable to chase someone who's actually good for once, rather than a meathead that like medium vaults the 4-lane window to lithe away from you, and then you get bored.
I will not take the slander of how I play Survivor. I'm kidding. Yeah. I mean, it's just, and once again, like I talked about it earlier, it's like even small things, people who just hold check spots, like that is just not a common thing. Like,
No.
And you know, sometimes for a lot of killers that can really mess them up. It's like I always think about that Otsdarva video with him playing Bubba where he couldn't catch somebody. Yeah, it's because the map was like in a way where it was loop into loop into loop. And the survivor was able to hold a check spot on every single loop and know exactly when he was coming around the corner. Like
there's certain loops you actually cannot do anything about.
Yeah, like oh, he should have played better. How much better could he have played?
Yeah, literally.
Like I don't.
Sometimes the person you're going against is just very good, and they have a lot in their favor. Like it's completely fine. No one cares. You don't actually win or lose anything.
It's just that shit just infuriates me. Not the situation. The people who take that situation are like, oh well, you're actually bad. Okay.
Yeah. Like, oh, I can't believe I beat the world's best P100 spirit. Good, like actually good for you. Like you jerk off to that. I don't give a fuck.
I should also mention I was running no slowdown that match.
Literally, they're like, oh, we are the spirit. I've got lethal barbecue. I don't care, you're still spirit. I do care actually. I've got lethal barbecue. Shut up.
I was running my stupid remote hook build. That's all I was doing.
Yeah.
By the way, people complaining about remote hook. They're fine. They're fine.
I think the remote basement hooks are stupid. But other than that, I really don't care about them.
Yeah, I think
you should be able to remote hook to the basement or a hill.
I think remote or directly above you in any way. Saw someone do it on Eerie. That was funny.
That's so annoying.
Yeah, if anything, I think the pallet break is more problematic than remote hooks.
Fucking hate the pallet break. It's so ugly.
And also, I noticed now that the event's starting to wind down, but I have noticed more survivors realizing how strong quiet mode is. Jesus.
Yeah, I have not been playing the event because quiet mode means I don't have a power.
Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ. I have lost, like... Once again, people are like, oh, you're relying on scratch marks too much. Bitch, I can't even hear them.
Yeah, there's nothing to go off of. It's crazy.
Like, oh, we'll check the corner more. I can't risk the time. Like, whatever. Anyways, I do want to. I think we're gonna go ahead and end it here. I know we do.
Yes, I need a massive shit as well, so I was going to say,
yeah,
gotta wrap this up fast. I'm gonna poo myself.
You're fine. I have to go back to sleep. I have to be at work in 3 hours.
Oh fuck. Okay, have a good sleep.
Yeah. In any case, though, I do want to say, as always, I say this to everybody, but thank you for coming on. I know we had some scheduling.
Really fun.
Yeah, I know we had some scheduling issues, but. It is what it is.
I thought it was Tuesday. Okay. I don't know what day it is. I think every day is Tuesday.
Well, not just that. Time zones fucking mess everything up.
Yeah, I'm genuinely stunned you managed to, like, stay up this late. I mean, it's great.
Who, me or you?
You? This is a normal time. It's like 1 p.m. for me. Who the fuck isn't awake at 1 p.m.?
6 a.m. is usually when I go to sleep.
Yeah, that's crazy, though.
I'm not. I close at work, so I don't get home till like 10.
Oh, I feel you. Close shift is rough.
Yeah. So, and I can't like stay awake during the day. Anyways,
but yes. Before we ramble on, goodbye. Thank you for having me. It's been lovely.
Yeah, of course. And I'll have all your stuff posted below. And if you want to send me those videos, by the way, so I can not forget to put them in.
Yeah, I'll send them in. Let me know when it's out. By the way, I will boost it as much as I can on my horrible Twitter.
Of course.
I cannot wait to watch it. It's been very fun rambling autistically for 3.5 hours.
Welcome to why I love doing this. Yeah, it should be out in a couple, 3 or 4 weeks. I'm trying because the night rework.
Genuinely take your time.
Yeah, night rework and singularity changes, and I'm getting them back on. There's a lot going on with this, and I'm trying to get some corrupted files back. But yeah.
Yeah.
But in any case, I appreciate it. If you wanna,
yes,
if you wanna go take your poo, that's fine.
I will go take my massive shits. But yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's been very fun. Have a wonderful sleep when you do.
Yeah, of course. course. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Mwah.